Learning.
Welcome, the good people. You are now tuning in.
Wow, that was crazy. Why did that happen? We gonna get this done. It's cool.
Welcome, the good people. You are now tuning in live and direct to the Brew Table Talkz, where we as a collective discuss topics ranging all across the board. A place where brews that are like-minded come together and build.
All right. One more thing. I thought that this one right here, this one deserves a song.
Hey.
I think New Breed encapsulated greatly on the topic at hand with a song called No Love.
Bring it out.
Most definitely.
When it comes to our people and our relationships, there's no love. Between man and woman, no love. The streets, no love. Even in this truth,
No love.
no love. Maybe you want to sing though. You broke so many. I took the blame from you. I guess I was the fool. Twinkling of an eye. These days go so fast. Yeah. I remember all the self-inflicted wounds, sitting in my room, asking in my doom, what will it take to get my mind right and put this pain in hindsight? Let me shine without no limelight, rip apart your flesh through your ears, that's a sound bite. Glory to the Father, give us grace through these dark nights. Grateful for the wisdom on the mission, it ain't nothing slight. Everything changed, found out I was an Israelite. Raised amongst robbers and thieves, but they paid the price. Never been honor in the streets, niggas living trife. Bullets rain through the block, hit everything in sight. Sloppy shooters with Rugers, better get your life. If you ain't got no pistol on you, better get your knife. If it's kill or be killed, I'm going home tonight. The wealth captain turned this to a school of gladiators. Now your brother's bloodthirsty, got the demons salivating. They turned the streets to a school of gladiators, no love. They turned the streets to a school of gladiators, no love. There's no love. What is done can't be undone. What a conundrum. You acting like you done something, but it was written. Your pride to get you smitten. Yeah, these brews be moving different. Just stay out my jurisdiction. To the Lord I am committed. Give a damn if you offended. 2020 with the visions. Every time we read the scriptures, it's killing superstition. The day of judgment coming. It's evil all among us. Every time they cross the line, these angels getting summoned. In the fullness of the body of Christ, the light shines. Let the truth be revealed. It's all in the right time. They claim to be saints. They looking like pythons. Feasting their eyes on sheep that they might rob. It's something in the air. The leaders are all gone. The preachers is all talk. No bite, it's all bark. They can have the sidewalks. I had enough for the block. Broken bottles, white chalk. But we used to be ox. They turned the truth to a school of gladiators. No love. They turned the truth to a school of gladiators. No love. There's no love. These days going by so fast. You got everybody versus us. And then there's us versus us. Nigga,
I'm not your
competition.
competition.
Oh, you got it too
Too
right,
right,
you
too
night,
right.
Well, I guess this how it
How it
is.
is.
Same way out, same way in. Solo. Had to fight the court system to see my kids. No bitter feelings though, cause I get vindicated at the end. Until that trifling broad, she can ride hell. There's no love. There's no love. I mean no love. I mean no love. You remember the Can you remember
the rain? Hey. And you guys enjoyed that right there. That was brother New Breed, New Breed Music and Motivation. Go check it out. And that song was called No Love. Shalom family, shalom family. It's Leon the Servant with my co-host, Devon Lee.
Peace and blessings, my people. Peace and blessings. What it do, Leon? What we got for him today?
Man, we got something pivotal. Something that we actually do on a day-to-day basis. And we're supposed to have strong connections and strong bonds. But a lot of us don't even talk about how to make them or how to maintain them or what's supposed to be in them to make it healthy.
Let's bring it out.
Relationships and communication.
Hey.
It's the topic at hand today, Ak.
I definitely feel like it's needed, man, because I can look at what's going on today and truly identify what relationships do I have that's strong, or who do I communicate with that I know that whenever we speak, we come up with solutions. So, man, you already know how I be feeling, man. All praises to the Most High for even letting us build this relationship we got going on. This using this platform to, communicate effectively. So, bro, gotta send forth my praises.
Always. Shalom, move in silence. You see, and man, bro, it's like, where do we even start?
Man,
do people even understand what a healthy relationship look like, or communication? We see so many different things on social media trying to portray it one way or portraying it another way, but on social media everything is all pretty, it's all glam and glitz. But in reality, when you see these people and the way that they treat other people, you understand that they don't have many friends in the physical, but on the digital they do, because they lacked the etiquette, the skills to actually form relationships and healthy relationships and communicate well. You feel me?
Bro, you just hit on something. Very interesting, where you say people got these relationships and they communicate off the digital apps. But then it's like, how do you even function when you're around somebody physically? And does the digital take away from the physical connection, where you're lacking on how to even speak to somebody because you can't do it physically because you're so used to having these mediums really hide truly the way you interact with people.
Absolutely. Shalom, Ruby. Let me fix that real quick. No interruptions.
Moving silent. Shalom, Ruby, what it do?
I think it's actually interesting that you said that, because when we communicate, does it have an intention, or are we just idly chatting? And do we keep that in mind when we do communicate? Like, whenever we build, right, on a platform or offside the platform, we have a objective at hand. It's either to trade or expand upon ideas, or it's to inform one another, and even if that's just the current things that's going on a day-to-day basis or what have you. But when we have an objective at hand, then we know that we're effectively communicating. Like how often do you have it when, let's say, in a relationship, and the guy is not putting down his seat on the toilet, right? How often does it cross the other person's mind, the wife, to cross and be like, you know what? The issue is not necessarily how it makes me feel, but I'll need to inform this person that this needs to stop because of X, Y, and Z. And when you come in that aspect and you come in that auspias, when you come with that understanding, then the way you carry out that conversation dramatically changes. It's not you screaming at your husband after he comes off from work and be like, why can't you put down any of the toilet seats and da-da-da-da, and blasting off, to more of like, okay, I know you're tired and things of this sort, but is it possible for you to start doing this? Because it's affecting my cleaning, or it's affecting my mental space. And I feel as though it's something simple that you and I can both do on both halves. It's much healthier communication.
Most definitely.
You know? Shalom, Cam, Israel. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, what it do, family? What it do, man? And bro, this is the basics right here. To say everybody entering in the chat, we say what's up. We say what's going on, family. You know, opening up communication and building that relationship. Like, I see you, I hear you. And many times in this day and age where people can walk around with masks on, not say anything to each other, not even look at each other in their eyes, not even acknowledge one another what they're saying, is like, how strong are relationships when you don't even acknowledge?
You know, that just brought a scripture to mind real quick. And it's 1 Corinthians 15 and 13, right? And it reads, be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. And when we put that into the full ramifications, you know, you always bickering, you're always nagging, you always have nothing positive to say, nothing informative, can only destroy any of the natural etiquette or respect that you would have for that person. You know?
So what is a healthy relationship? What is healthy communication? When you just brought up the script, you know, evil communication corrupts good manners. Like, how do you, what is good communication? Like, where's the model for that? Who's actually exemplifying that? Because, bro, when I look at this social media and when I see the portrayal of how we communicate with one another as a community, even doing business, like, say I go to a restaurant where I'm trying to get some food and, you know, someone's in there and they're having a bad day and they don't really like doing their job. And the way they communicate with me literally destroys the relationship of me even going there and shop again. So it's like, when do we ever have these model situations of, man, that's good communication. Man, that's, you know, that's a great relationship that I want to build upon.
And you know what that makes that I think it starts with understanding that whatever you say actually matters. You know, it's not just something you just toss around just because you want to toss it around. And that brings me to another script real quick, which is Proverbs 18. All right, let me bring it out real quick. Share the tab. So it brings me to Proverbs 18 and 20, verse 20 to 21. And it reads something simple. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof.
Amen.
You know, understanding that the words that you speak can actually create an environment that's either toxic or an environment that makes you want to, as Cam Israel said, come back for more. Come back that you're building. Come back that you feel energized. Are you going to somewhere and you're talking and you feel drained after the conversation? Are you feeling invigorated, inspired, being able to move forward, informed, you know? Or was it being able to be a good friend and being able to help the burden off of someone? There's a difference when someone is just complaining and when someone just has concerns that need to be consoled. You know?
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to add on that up?
Yeah, bro, you hit it right there on the point, man. And so did Cam Israel. It's like when we communicate with one another, are we expecting to feel good? And to say whatever makes me feel good, I like to come back to that. Just like eating healthy, working out.
Mhm.
These feel good activities make you want to keep building upon that. But say that you're so entrophed in a world where it's nothing but toxicity. It's nothing but, I had somebody from a personal experience, playing basketball. It was like, man, just the experience and how people communicate with one another in their own respective field. It was like, bro, when I'm playing basketball and if I do something bad, who cares if somebody disrespects me or talk to me any type of way? And I'm like, huh? You let people disrespect you? Matter of fact, you accept disrespectful communication?
Mhm.
And I had to look at him and say, no, that's not how I like to communicate. That's not how I like to hold my relationships. But in
Mhm.
some instances, it's like people are around those environments where that's all they know. So that's all they portray. That's the only level they can communicate from. And it's like him being an adult where, we were playing on the same team and he's just like, man, you got to suck it up. People talk to each other like this all the time. What you mean you play basketball and people ain't never disrespect you? And I'm like, no, people ain't, because I don't allow that. I don't disrespect other people, you know?
Exactly.
So it's different, man.
And just to highlight that, right? Society has engulfed us with this competition, right? You're always competing against the same people that's on your team. You're competing for the same position at your job for promotion when you guys are supposed to be working together,
Mm.
right? And it's sowing discourse amongst brethren, which is one of the things that the Most High hates. There's one thing when, you know, for instance, you inspire me to keep doing my lives. So you do a live, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a live. I got something that I can do a live, I can speak more on. But it's not in a manner that I'm going to try to deter you from doing what you're doing. And even in sports, like, yes, there's a certain level of competitive drive, but competitive drive does not have to be toxic. Like, after I tackle someone, I can definitely give my hand and pick them back up,
Mm.
you know? I mean, we're both here to entertain people. It doesn't really matter who wins or loses. We still get paid as long as it was entertaining. So it's so weird how communication has fallen apart because our relationships don't hold any value.
Ooh.
We say that we're friends, but when you say that person's a friend, you're not even trying to help them out. We say that's family, but when the family sees you in a tough position or trying to enlighten you, you can't accept it or they can't provide it. So what do these relationships even really matter or mean when there's and then that leads to a road of terrible communication.
Mm.
I want to say shalom, Yahira. See, I'm on point today. Lon Diamond, I see you. Yasharallah, I see you. Shalom, shalom. It's cool that you can tuning in from work. Hopefully, this is positive and edification for your self application on a day to day basis, and you can take something away from this. Um, I wanted to bring up this script, and yeah, the topic at hand today is relationships and communication. And I wanted to bring up the value of having a good friend. And what it means when two people, and that two people can't walk together if they don't understand the same objective, right? Because a lot of us don't understand or haven't even seen a good relationship, a good display of brotherly love, and that's an issue, and we're here to fix that to the best of our ability, right? So we go to Ecclesiastes real quick, 4:7-12. And actually, we're just going to pick it up from verse 8. Right? Check this out. There is one alone, right? One guy by himself, and there's not a second. Yet, and he neither have child nor brother. Yet there's no end of all his labor. It means that he don't have any family, right? But he's rich. He's well off. He has a lot of things for himself. And it says this: neither his eye satisfied with riches, neither saith he, for whom do I labor, and bereave my soul of good? This is all vanity, yea, it's a sore travail. He's saying, I have all this wealth, I have all these things and accolades, but I have no one to share them with. So what is the value of even having all this? Like, I'm well taken care of beyond all my needs, right? And didn't listen to this. The next very verse is, two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. It's one thing when you come out the mud, and you come out the mud by yourself, right? And all praises to the Most High that you was able to make it out. But it's another thing when you said that me and my brother, we built this from the ground up. This was a family business from the ground up. And through thick and thin, we was able to help one another out. You feel me? And it goes on to say this, right? For if they fall, that one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he have not another to help him up. Man, there's times that life really comes knocking down. There's situations that happen. And by yourself, you're nothing. There's no one to pick you up. And Yahweh said something very interesting. By myself with the Lord, all praises the Most High. But then are you truly by yourself? No, you're not. You're not. But also an aspect is, what's your relationship with the Most High? How much are you allowing him to pick you up? How many times are you going to allow his communication for you not to stumble into pits? And it reads on just a little bit more. And it says this: again, if two lie together, they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And I mean, you could take that into a physical account. When there's a man and a woman and it's cold at night, they're able to keep each other warm. Or you could take it in the account of going through trials and tribulations. When you have a friend, it's a little bit easier. But when you're by yourself, it's cold. It's a cold world out there. And last but not least, it says this: if one prevail against him, two shall stand within him, and threefold cord is not quickly broken. The circle don't have to be big for you to do damage and for you guys to be able to stand strong. And I just want to give you the floor if there's anything you wanted to add on that.
Bro, you pretty much hitting it on all keys, bro. Knowing that I could call you my brother. And when I am in a tough spot, to say I could call upon you and my Father who is in heaven to encourage me, to give unto me warmth, that motivation to keep moving. So it's like when we are building our relationships and have effective communication, what do you want to see out of yourself in terms of, what if somebody needed your help? Or are you just thinking that you're here in this world with 7 billion people and you have no connection? You have no community. What are you building? To say, bro, when we make it to the top, I don't want to say that I'm lonely. I want to say that I'm around people that I trust, people that who, when I communicate to, it's nothing but peace and nothing but blessings. We all empowered to progress.
Most
I want to make
definitely.
it to the top with my family, with my community, so that I can look around and say, hey, I'm happy that I can share this moment with y'all. And when you really look at life, what keeps majority of us living is knowing that we can share moments with each other, knowing that we're not here by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
They say it gets lonely at the top, but I think that's only for people who don't have these relationships and don't know how to communicate effectively. Because when you're at the top, guess who's with you? The Most High.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, wouldn't you think it's gonna be your brothers and sisters in the Most High with you as well?
Exactly. I mean, when you make it to the top, right? You didn't make it to the top by yourself.
Mm.
You know, they say that one man can't feed himself. An aspect like this. Yes, you can go fish, right? And you can fire that up and cook it. But that fish had to grow from other fishes and then it had to be born and things of that sort happen. But most people don't even do all that. They go to the store, they buy their own food. Well, you couldn't go to the store and buy your own food unless you was employed, which means you relied on someone else. You
Mm.
couldn't go to the store and buy the food unless it was driven there, which means you relied on another person. You couldn't go to that store if the store wasn't open, which means you relied on another people. You couldn't go to the store and buy that food if it wasn't farmed, which means you relied on another person. You might have went to the store and bought the food by yourself, but you did not gain that food by yourself.
Mm.
You get me? Um, and just to even build on that aspect and what you were saying that you want to be able to build with like-minded individuals. Amos 3 and 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed? And the answer is absolutely not. They cannot walk together if they don't agree. You know. And just to top that off real quick, it's Psalms 1 and 1, which says this: Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. There's people that you should be definitely watching out for because they will only detract. They will only provide evil communication. They're only going to give you the subtle kisses of death. When your friend, he's going to tell you what is right and what is wrong.
Mm.
You know, your friend's going to keep it a buck 50 with you. Your friend is going to tell you that, hey, this is off, that is off. You need to keep doing this because this is working. But other than that, scratch this idea, scratch that idea because they don't have the right interest for you. And to, back that up real quick, Proverbs 27 and 6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of the enemy are deceitful. Well, to be honest, I don't care how much I love Devon Lee. He ain't going to be over here cutting me up physically. But if he overhears and he checks me, he's like, yo, you need to get on this and get on that. It could hurt my pride. It can hurt my ego, right? But he's not hurting me. And a lot of people need to detach from that pride. I mean, a lot of people have access to a healthy relationship and they just don't even know how to cultivate it because they have terrible communication and they have too much pride, you know? And I just want to give you the floor real quick before I even really go crazy with that.
Hey, I see Melanin's son in the building talking about the Judas Iscariot, and it's like, yeah, knowing that there's people out here like that. In the Bible, it depicts Judas as being around Jesus, having a so-called relationship with him in forms of being around the business, benefiting off of Jesus, literally eating with Jesus, and then who he was communicating with behind the scenes. It's like knowing truly who we are as people, knowing our community, and knowing how to communicate effectively. And what you were hitting on before we even started, man, knowing that we have intentions behind when we talk. Like, we just don't be saying anything. Like, do people display their intents behind when they communicate with one another? What is the goal at hand? And pretty much what I got from that scripture, what you said, two people can't walk together unless they agree. Is like, you never know someone's goal in mind until they speak. Or, some people, they get it in their head where, they just don't even want to talk about what they want to do because, this is a sneaky culture nowadays where, hey, you got to watch out. You got to be listening with your spirit, because many times people won't communicate with you via verbal communication, but non-verbally, throughout different ways they can display their behaviors. Listening to not just what the words come out of somebody's mouth, but also their body language, how they interact with you. It lets you know a lot about their intentions. So, man, if I was back in the days and Jesus was sitting down at the table and he already knew who was going to betray him, because he probably looking at everybody like, hold on, Judas don't have the same body language as everybody else. You feel me? He over here saying good words. He over here trying to communicate with me and make it seem like his intentions are good. But something about this character, something about the way he's displaying himself. One of y'all gonna betray me. And having that sense, literally, and knowing that, he was communicating with the Most High, so he had even further knowledge. Like, bro, before we even got on and did this live, he was like, man, I had a sense that you was going to call me, and I looked at my phone. It's like, that's a higher form of communication where we don't even have to speak, but you know that I'm contacting you. That's a greater sense of a relationship when I don't even have to speak, but you already know what's on my mind, bro. That's when, as a community, do we have that type of connection?
And just to add on to that, to understand like the value of a friend, right? Because we're talking about that, and knowing that, hey, you speak nice, you're gonna have a lot of friends with quotation marks, right? But that doesn't mean you're gonna have a lot of good friends or friends that you can count on, right? We're gonna go to Ecclesiasticus, right? Chapter 6, we're also known as Sirach, right? And we're going to go down to verse 5. 6 verse 5. So, sweet language will multiply friends, and a fair-speaking tongue will increase kind greetings. And you're going to have a lot of people who just going to be like, yeah, I'm cool with that man because, he never tells me I'm wrong, or, he's real easy to get along with, right? Be in peace with many, nevertheless, have but one counselor of 1,000. See, that's that brother. It says I have one amongst 1,000, which means that wise counsel that you're attaining to, that it says in Proverbs 1:5, which reads, a wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise words. There's not a whole lot of people that you're really going to be going hand in hand with, And I want to build on that just a little bit more on what it was saying, because it was pivotal. It was pivotal was being said in Ecclesiasticus, right? So we're back. There we go. And it says this: if thou wouldst get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. You test the spirit by the spirit. Don't just because that person might say nice words or he might help you out once or twice, that doesn't mean that you are automatically calling him a friend. You don't know what his interest is. You get me? Oh, it's not even shown. There you go. Let me show that real quick. So that doesn't mean that that's his interest. That doesn't mean that that's who he's trying to help you to better you. He might be helping you so that he can line his pockets better later, to be honest. That definitely happens. Right?
Judas.
And it reads on. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. For some man is a friend for his own occasion. Right? It will not abide in the day of thy trouble. See? For his own benefit. And then it reads on. And there is a friend who will being turned to enmity and strife will discover thy reproach. So you know what? They say that you starting to show your true colors when you guys don't agree, when you guys don't get along on something. That you see it one way, they see it another way, and they be like, well, screw you. I hope you die. They showing their true colors. Just because you guys don't get along, so does that cast away everything else you guys were doing? Just because this one instance you don't see eye to eye, you have 25 years of a friendship, 5 years, 2 years, 8 months, and you're ready to toss it away just because you guys didn't see eye to eye on something like that. And that brings us back to Amos 3:3. Can two walk together unless they be agreed? Is this friendship worth the trouble? And for a lot of people, that's not the case. Because guess what? Divine Lee and I, we probably don't see eye to eye on every single occasion. We see eye to eye on a lot of things, but not on every single occasion. There might be one thing that I see it this way. There was one thing he said that way. Cool. It is what it is. It's not a heaven or hell issue. He's not trying to. It's not a moral issue. So why am I making it a moral issue? And I'm going to just build on this one a little bit more, read on just a little bit more. Again, some friend is a companion at the table and will not continue in the day of thy affliction. See, one person will do business with you, the other person just straight leeching off of you. But in thy prosperity, he will be as thyself and will be bold over thy servants. That's the friend you see, and they are so quick to get other people in line. Like, don't you know who my man's is? Don't you see? This is and then as soon as you don't have that status, he is gone. He is gone. He's that friend that he sees you on IG, you got that little verification check. As long as you're verified, he's for you. He said you're certified. But as soon as you're not verified, as soon as you don't have that check, as soon as you don't have that symbol, he's gone. Because he was just there for your power. And now, it reads on. But if thou be brought low, he will be against thee, and will hide himself from thy face. Separate thyself from thy enemies, and take heed of thy friends. A faithful friend. See how all those other ones were called friends? Quotation marks. But listen to this. A faithful friend. A friend who sees you through thick and thin and is out there for your best interest. A faithful friend. A friend who's going to tell you what it is and how it is, regardless of how it's going to make you feel, because he knows it's going to better you, or she knows it's going to better you. Is a strong defense. And he that have found such, and one have found a treasure. And nothing doeth contravail a faithful friend, and his excellency is invaluable. Stop. Your good friends, the ones who have the best interest for you, they are invaluable. Because guess what? When you're going through the thick and thin, they there for you. They give you the clothes off their back for you. When you down, we're both down. And when you up, we both up. And just to precept that one more time with Proverbs 12, and I'm going to hand it off to my co-host Divine Lee, because I know I spoke a lot. Proverbs 12, 15 through 16. Rejoice when them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of a low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. Don't be thinking that, hey, that friend is only there for the time being, when that one's a real friend. Know who you're dealing with. What you guys say?
Friends. How many of us have them? Friends.
Hey.
Ones we can depend on. Let's be friends.
Hey, yo. They don't know about that. Actually, some of them know.
And it's like, what is a healthy relationship, man? What is a healthy friendship? What is healthy communication? And when I think of the word healthy, I look at nature, and
Mm-hmm.
I identify with health as something that continues to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to say that our relationship has grown, our communication has increased in not only verbiage but intellect, to where many times I don't even have to communicate verbally, but you still get and understand my message, which is, I feel like, a level of growth that not many people get to, especially in personal relationships. And think about even in business relationships. Say that I'm offering a service, to know that, hey, we have a relationship that is healthy in terms of doing business, where every time you communicate your problem, I'm able to solve it and offer you the service that you need without you even having to go through the mental strain to describe what you're talking about. I'm like, hey, we on one accord. I completely understand you. Let me go ahead and provide you with this. And it's like, that solves the problem. In business, are we having people who know how to solve problems, given that we communicate effectively and have these healthy relationships? So just
Mm-hmm.
being able to expand off of that and building a community that understands how important the value of connection is, where you can go and shop with people who will follow you around the store and tell you to hurry up and buy. Or it's like, is that healthy? Is that something that
Absolutely.
is growing, where you're inside my community and you're communicating with me in the sense of seeing a lesser value of me, and so it's like you give me a product that doesn't really fully benefit me.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true, man.
Doesn't help me
And
grow.
actually, you know what? I want to speak about that growth right there. Melanin's son brought out Proverbs 12:15-16, and I think this will definitely help anyone grow, right? Let me pull it up for it real quick. No problem. It reads this: The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth or listen to unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man's covereth his shame. See, yo, I see my aunt tripping. I'm like, yo, chill out right there, because you know what? What's going to happen is, if this is going to happen, then we're going to get arrested, and then we're going to have to deal with this, and then we're going to have to deal with that. It's not worth it. Calm down, cool off. I know what they said was wrong. They was trifling. I got you. But this is the only way that we can still grow. This is the
Mm,
only way that we can still maintain and sustain. You know, if we get into an argument with some other guy that's a fool, obviously they're in the wrong, but it's starting to escalate. We need to assess whether this is worth the fight. And if I'm over here back and you're more into the argument, or vice versa, I'm more into the argument and you're standing back, and we see that it's only going downhill, our friend is going to tell us, hey, chill out. It's not even that deep.
mm-hmm.
Because guess what? What happens is you get yourself into an unseemly conversation, or you get yourself into a dissension that you could potentially lose your life, or you cannot provide for your family anymore because you're crippled, or because of something else that happened. And that is that's invaluable. And that is the only way you're going to be able to grow. Having strong people in your circle, attending onto wise counsel, you know, being able to understand that your point of perspective is not the only point in perspective, and that people have different vantage points looking at the same horizon. And sometimes that one who is higher can see a little bit further, and he's
Mm-hmm.
going to lift his friend up so that he can see the same point of view. Not to say he looks down on his friend. He's only looking down to pull him up, not looking down to laugh or scoff. That's why it's lonely at the top. No one wants to pull the other one up.
Mm.
What? It's like each one teach one. You know, Hot?
Oh, yeah, I'm there with you. And that's when we get back to having a connection that is valuable. When you can look at your community and say, hold on, I'm supposed to be here for the people. I'm supposed to actually provide something of substance. Now you have a community in which, do you really value your relationships? Do you really value the words that you speak? Do you really value a friend? Do you really value these apps where we can come together and connect? Because this is pivotal. As
Mm-hmm.
bro, I'm out here in one of the areas where you would see nothing but brotherly hate, where I'm just like, this isn't life. I need to figure out how I can get in tune with people who know how to communicate effectively, and I need to build relationships with people who are on the same accord as me, because I know that the Most High has put something great inside of me, but I can't do nothing great by myself.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I always knew that doing something great in this life is going to have me connect with other great people, other people who are like-minded, who desire to achieve that greatness, who communicate with nothing but great intentions. But when you're surrounded around a community whose intentions may not seem so profitable,
Mm-hmm.
who speak as fools, who literally have businesses that are just here to demean us,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like you see all these, as soon as the pandemic hit, and I don't know if you've been paying attention to the business world, but one thing I've noticed, that as the relationships between just family members change, there seemed to be an increase, a rise in substance use, to where
Mm-hmm.
they administered and actually promoted businesses of, you know, they call it recreational marijuana
Mm-hmm.
and CBD substances, as far as putting it in your food. Like, there has been
Mm-hmm.
a rise, not just in my community, but as I see, like, they put it on the news. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how is that effective communication when you could just say, oh, in order to feel good, I'll just do some drugs? But
Mm-hmm.
truly, is that a connection that we want to have as a community? In order to feel good, let me just go smoke a blunt. Let me just go eat some
Exactly.
food that got weed oil in it. Let me value this connection over talking to my family about really what's going on and suppressing it.
Mm.
So,
And you know what? I think that's because a fundamental portion of having effective communication or relationships deals with you being accountable for you,
mm,
for what you provide, your role that you play in that relationship, your actions and your emotions, right?
hmm
Just because someone might have gotten you mad doesn't mean that that was their intention. And just because you are mad or angry or have wrath doesn't mean that you expend it, right? And what we see a lot in relationships is, well, you made me feel this way, so I just acted brashly,
mm,
and that's all the justification that I need. And I'm like, well, then what's the difference between you and a dog? What's the difference
ooh,
between you and any other animal? You have no propensity to think about the things that you do just because. Do you need other people to treat you the best for you to be a good person?
mm,
And don't you have bad days? You have no compassion, no mercy. These aren't just for the high and mighty. People look at taking the high road and they say it's so burdensome, but it's just showing mercy, knowing that, hey, sometimes we have bad days. And also, I want to talk about, well, that's what happens when relationships are faulty, is when you have to start relying on abuse or uh, abundance use of substances to numb what you're feeling. You get me? And that's an issue. That's a huge issue. And actually, I wanted to touch on those three things that I said just a little bit more. You know, society has demified all roles. They say gender roles is wrong, family traditional roles is wrong. But then guess what happens? You have chaos. No one in a team, right? In a business, any type of coming together of people that are there for a mission or for objective. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do if it's a good team or if it's a good business. If we don't know who is going to be more likely to do this on a day-to-day basis and I help out when necessary, then how are we supposed to be on one accord? How are we supposed to agree on anything if we can't even agree on the things that we need to do in a relationship? And that goes for friends, that goes to intimate level as a lover, that also goes to even a business. You know, if you don't establish what those things are, then how can you move forward? How can you move at all? You guys don't even know what forward is. You're going left and she going right. Y'all walking up separate. And then what happens is no one wants to take accountability. Well, all right, you're the man, lead. Well, then I don't know how to lead. This is my first time. Well, figure it out. Or, well, you the woman. Well, submit. Well, I don't know how to submit. This is my first time. Figure it out. We're here to work together. We have skills called communication. I don't like it when you do that. This is why. How about we do this instead? Problem, solution. You get me? And then we just let our emotions drag us down. So we be on the right path, or we starting to get on the right path and be like, this is so boring, or this is so tedious. Why do I always gotta verify? Well, if you guys don't verify, we don't have telepathy. I can't read your mind. I can't lift things up with my mind. You get me? So if that's the case, communicate. Communicate. Communication is not hard. It just has to be practiced. It has to be done. You get me? And if you're not accountable for you, then you will never even do those things or consider improving yourself so that the relationship can be better. For the communication to be purer. And when you don't have those things, then yes, you're going to go to anywhere possible to numb what's happening, to numb the family structure or your friends. You know, when you go around those same friends, it's just chaos. So you just going in with the chaos, you know, because no one speaks up for themselves. No one tells, hey, you know what? You crossed the line right there. I didn't appreciate that. And it's sad, but this is another reason why there's a war between the sexes. This is why there's a war between brothers. It's because no one has 5 seconds to sit down and talk. They just want to act brash. They want to be an animal. They feel fear. They want to attack. They only operate on instincts. And I'm like, what's the point of your brain being 3 pounds if you're going to only use an ounce of it? You're getting it. So I just wanted to hit on that real quick because accountability is necessary. If no one's accountable, you know what? If no one's accountable in a relationship, there ain't no relationship. There's no such thing as unconditional love. Even the Most High don't have unconditional love. And the aspect that there's things and conditions that he expects you to do. If you don't want to hold them, well, then you're not a part of his fold. You know that Amos 3:3 was talking about? It was talking about the Most High in Israel. And that's the one who he made a covenant with. He made a pact with. He made a contract with. So if that's the case, then how do you think you're going to be able to coincide with people who don't want to be accountable for their half? who don't want to build. You know, let me chill out real quick. Let me drink some water.
Who don't want to build. So you got these relationships where another party is literally into it to destroy. Where even as in terms of having a business, right? You would think that when you go and try to find people who you want to work with, that everybody is trying to build the business. But say that, someone really doesn't care. They're just in it for money.
Mm-hmm.
You think their intentions behind it is going to make sure that, they're building the business off of a great foundation so that it can truly succeed beyond? Or are they just showing up to work, just trying to, get what they're expecting? Their
and that's
role,
exactly what Ecclesiastics was talking about.
Yeah.
Go on, you're exactly right. It's exactly what Ecclesiastics was talking about with the table. They'll sit at the table, they'll eat from the table, but as soon as that table's gone, pew,
yeah,
smoke.
That's
air,
how I look at
ashes.
America right now. You literally have these leaders in place who will fund certain programs for crack pipes. And it's like, what type of relationship are you building with your people saying, hey, I have $30 million and this is what I'm going to fund it to? And yeah, this is what I want to see from this. I want to build healthy drug environments. Like, that's literally what the
Bro, they got
government
two up in New York, apparently.
It makes no sense.
Up in New York for that particular program, but you also have like methadone, which practically is help people get off of, I think, meth, or other or heroin, one of these other like strong addicting ones, and it's supposed to be a lesser thing, but anyone in those communities never see that those people get off that drug. So essentially, you're just getting drugged out by the government.
Man.
So what's the relationship with man and the government? What's their communication?
Bro.
They communicate hate to me. They communicate no type of remorse or mercy to me. When it's me or my people, they seem like they out for blood. If that's the case, then let me not misinterpret the relationship on a let bygones be bygones type of ordeal, and try not to clash. I also wanted to bring out another thing that we really have an issue with these relationships is holding grudges, having pride. And I wanted to bring a few scriptures out about pride, and also a scripture out about being able to say that you're wrong. Like, man, I don't know about you, but have you ever been guilty of something, or you ever felt like anger, and you know you're in the wrong, but after you admit it, there's just like this breath of fresh air, regardless if they accept it or not. It's just like, you know what? I said what I said. I was speaking out in anger. I reflected on my actions, and I was wrong. But if you didn't say those things, you feel like you was being incomplete. You was being wrong or wicked, to be honest. If I came up and I accidentally took my hand and I reached and I slapped you, I'm going to say sorry. It was not my intent. That's not what I was trying to do. But for me to be like, oh, you shouldn't have been there, how prideful is that, man? Saying that I can't make no mistakes. I can't not apologize when I'm in the wrong. These are some reasons why relationships falter. A lot of times there'll be that one person who's, whenever they're wrong, they say it. And it'll be the other guy or the other girl. And it always has to be their way. And then when that person gets fed up, their partner, their friend gets fed up and they speak out about it, they're like, oh, what's this energy coming from? Da-da-da-da. You never do this. It's just because you show no mercy. You show no remorse. You think that your shit don't stink. Pardon my French. But honestly, you think that you're the Don Gata and everyone has to bow down to you. And I'm telling you, unless you're trying to formulate a dictatorship, which eventually falls on itself and gets assassinated, typically that's what happens, then you should watch how you step. Let me just bring up a few scripts on that real quick. Let's go to Proverbs. And it says this: when pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. Yeah, pride will have you walking out here crazy. He'll have you walking out here just doing all different types of things. And guess what? When pride, it's hard for you to swallow your pride and say that I was wrong. But the wise person, the one that is able to do it, they understand, yeah, I'm human, bro. I'm humble. I messed up. I'm wrong about that. You know? You got Proverbs 13:10. Only by pride cometh contention, but with well advised is wisdom. See, a lot of times the reason why we have arguments, it only comes by pride. It comes from not being able to sit down, chill out, think. What happened? How did it happen? Was this their intention? Using that, 3-pound brain instead of just using an ounce of it. And think like, you know what? It might have offended me, but that wasn't their intentions. You know? And let me bring out this last one real quick. A man pride shall bring him low, but the honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. Man, people are going to see the way you're moving, and they're not going to want to deal with you. And then whatever gift you got, they don't care. So it's going to put you by yourself. So you get to the top, and you're like, oh, it's lonely at the top. It's only lonely at the top because you literally didn't make room for anyone else. So, just to top that off, Corinthians, one. Not Corinthians, James. We already went to Corinthians. Let me bring this one out real quick, and then we can open up the lines if anyone wants to build on communication. James 5:16 reads this: confess your faults one to another, and pray for one another that ye may be healed, that the effectual and fervent prayer of righteousness may availeth much. If you can't even come down and be like, yo, I messed up, you're not worthy to have a good friend. You wonder why there's only snakes around you? Can you ever admit when you're wrong? That's important. And also, I think I have one more. Yes, this is the other one, because this goes across the board. 1 Peter 5:5. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder, right? Yea, all of you be submit one to another, and be clothed with humility. For God resisteth the proud and giveth grace to the humble. Yeah. That goes both ways. Both ways. It's not just the young always submitting to the elder, because it says one another to everyone. It means that, hey, sometimes those elders, they listen to what the child or younger one has to say, so they can understand and they can actually be wise. They don't have pride. Pride destroys too many relationships and communication. Pride is an issue, and without it being checked, you're not going to have healthy relationships and communication, because you're going to think that you can do no wrong, you can do no harm. And the difference between them and the meek means the one who restrains his strength, which means that we know we can do wrong, so we try not to. Point blank, period. Right? So, we got a little verbiage coming in the background.
Oh, you can hear that?
Just a little bit,
yeah. Yeah, my bad. Just got some things going on in the environment right now.
It's cool. It's cool. And with that being said, we're going to share the link for anyone who wants to come in about anything that we said today about communications and relationships. You felt like I said something that was off, but Lee said something that was off. We can communicate, we can reason, and we can come together. And let that be that. Preparation for profound for ability to discern is everything. Absolutely. Yaharu, the alone state of being profound for personal growth, perception, the ability to discern is everything. Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, you can add on to anything I was saying, y'all, because I was going on a little.
Man, you was filled with the spirit, man. I just let you flow. Man. So hey, you was hitting it. And to say, bro, the communication with like-minded, knowing that, hey, when you speak, you basically, hey, we built this relationship where it's not just one party understanding how to effectively display a message. And when we come together, when we able to talk for one another, like when you have a lawyer, you're literally paying that lawyer to uphold the relationship that you have and trying to display your right side of the story and communicate with another party. So it's like, is it effective? Or in terms, do people relate to it? And can people see that, hey, what you're saying is of some value or truth? Bro, when you speaking, I just hey, you hitting it. You're on point. It's like, what more can I bring out? Because we've already built this foundation of knowing, hey, we don't want to accord with what we're talking about. You know, we have a value of our connection where, man, honored to say that we built something where we can refer back to grow. And let me just pinpoint on that comment from Yahira, where he states that being alone can be profound for personal growth. The perception, literally, of being alone is something that I don't feel like people communicate enough on, because you kind of hit on this before in the conversation. Are we truly ever alone? You know, the Most High is always with us. So it's like, physically, yeah, you're alone, but spiritually, you always got angels watching. You always got things in the spiritual realm that are influencing you, whether it is by you coming on these social media apps and surrounding yourself around different uplifting, motivational, inspiring content. That's not being alone. When you even go out in nature, if you have a pet, that's not being alone. You're always surrounded by something. And even if it's the air, you know, that's God literally giving you breath. You're not alone. But in a sense where physically not having someone to talk to communicate with, I feel as though it can personally affect your growth in having someone next to you in a physical sense, like a brother or sister who encourages you, who is able to grab your hand physically and lift you up and be the best. But, you know, we need to make sure that we surround ourselves with the right people, knowing that their intentions are great for us.
Absolutely. I wanted to say that being alone, right, is different from being lonely. That's one.
Yeah.
Because deciding to separate yourself from what is wicked so that you have a spiritual purity, or just being able to understand the things that's going on, that is pivotal. That's different. It's actually for your betterment. But also, being alone allows you to be able to appreciate when you do have a good relationship. You get me? Because if not, sometimes we take these things for granted. Sometimes we take having a good friend for granted. Sometimes we take other things for granted that these people provide for us out of the kindness of their heart. And when we do that, it's really hard for us to understand what good company is. But when you're alone, you're able to understand, well, does this make me feel better than when I'm alone? You have something to measure it by. Or does this make me feel worse than when I'm alone? And that's a really great measuring tool for whether you're building with someone who's like-minded or not. Not saying that you have to have this isolation mindset all the time, but being able to understand that it's okay to be alone when there's no one good to fellowship with at that time. Not trying to carve it out. And to even bring back to the thing about the Most High, it says that the Most High orders our steps. It says the steps of a good man are ordered by the Most High, and he is delighted in his way. Though he fall, he should not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. Just understanding that puts us in a different state of mind. Not really truly alone. I wanted to say Shalom, Cynthia, and also Shalom, 88 Soul. Also want to reiterate that the link is open for anyone who wants to join, who wants to build on relationships and communication. That's the topic at hand. Either some things that you see that's an issue, something that we touched on that you want to build on, or something you just have to share about communication and relationships.
And I just want to communicate my goal with the people and with you, Brother Leon, as far as going forward, building our relationships. I really want to see us come together. I really want to have a space where we can commune physically and say we're not in this world alone, because after years of quote unquote social distancing, it seems as though people have lost the connection, bro.
Bro, this actually has been years. Hold up, pause real quick. It actually has been years. Think about that. This whole stipulation has been going on for years, not just a few months. It's been 2 years. But go on, that just kind of caught me off guard. Just bringing everything back into full swing. We've been social distancing, covering our faces, which is like 70%, or actually about 20% of our communication. 60% of our communication is body language, and we've been cutting majority of our communication off by devices and also through the stipulations that they've imposed. But go on.
Man, so we pretty much formed this behavior, this habit, in which we don't even know how to effectively communicate, which we don't even know how to have relationships anymore, because we've been entrophed on this idea of social distancing, not even being within 6 feet of one another to even like build a genuine relationship. How genuine can a relationship be via filters and online manipulation of thoughts, where you can't really hear the verbiage of what someone's saying and how they're saying it? You can't really see someone's facial expression when they're speaking to you. So it's like, how do you build upon having a genuine relationship when 90% of the communication is hindered, or is not done through natural just environments?
It's done through a medium.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I also want to say this: for those who are in healthy relationships or wanting to aspire to build a healthy relationship, like how you see on the Brew Table Talks, know that change is mandatory. Compromise is as well. Now, there's a difference between compromising your morals and ethics and making a compromise between two so you can coincide and work together. Because guess what? You don't always have everything in perfect alignment. And typically that good, faithful friend, will help those things and bring those things to value. I also want to say this. This is something pivotal. Know that who and how you build is the difference between a den of thieves and an assembly of nobility. And that's pivotal. Who and how you build is the difference between a den of thieves and an assembly of nobility.
Mhm.
It's pivotal. Um, and yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, it's something you should take away. What is a healthy relationship? Are you pursuing healthy relationships? Are you detracting from your own relationships? Are you causing unnecessary issues through your communication, which oftentimes is not even verbal, by your countenance, through your behaviors, which communicate 10 times louder than any of the words that you speak? Because what is the purpose of having lip service that doesn't have any actions followed? You know? So, with that being said, we're going to give the family like what? I'll give them like another 5 minutes or so. If anyone wants to hop in and build with us, more than free to. I think we covered just about everything on this topic that came to mind. If you guys have any questions, you want to pose them in the chat, go ahead. I can't stop it. Yeah, go ahead. Trust and believe. Balance too. Absolutely. And I hope that this was pivotal. I hope he was able to take away some of the things that we said, Melanin, and getting our communication back. And know this: if your heart truly desires it, it says that a man speaks what flows from his heart, or what she flows from, what flows from her heart. So, if that's the case, then make sure that you're feeding your mind, your body, and your spirit with things that will build up your communication. You know, sometimes it's literally just changing the channel that we typically listen to that will help change our communication. Because a lot of times the things that we put out is what we take in. Shalom, Cynthia.
Shalom, shalom.
So yeah.
You know what I like about my relationships, man, especially my relationship with the Most High, is that when He communicates with me, it's only in the fashion to see me grow. When I communicate with my brothers in the truth, it's only in the fashion to see me grow.
Mm,
When I communicate with my family in the faith, it's only in the fashion to see me grow, to be
mm,
fruitful and multiply.
mm,
So being able to have that environment where we only want to see nothing but growth and identify that within our relationships, identify that within our speech,
mm,
identify growth to move forward. Like people always harp on what you do in the past, but it's like, are you giving me effective communication to actually change my ways? Or are you just entertaining me for the time being? Are you even just here to just put me down? And what are the intentions behind having these relationships? And that's why I hold the Most High up to a higher standard than making sure, hey, when I wake up, I send forth my praises because this relationship helps me grow. When I communicate with my brother outside of the platform, it's like, hey, we put in time and effort and we think about what we're saying because we know that these words are going to be used for us to grow. Just like when we're tilling the land, when we over here planting seeds, you would think that you plant seeds, thoughts in people's mind for them to grow. You
mm,
till the land, you take care of the land, you water the land so the plants can grow. Likewise, with relationships, with the way we speak to each other, and
mm,
it should be for us to grow. And it's time to
mm,
get back to that because it's been 2 years now. We've been wearing masks and social distancing. How much growth have we seen in our environments, in our communities? Or was
mm,
there a lack of growth? Was there a point where people were going through this time and actually digressed in
Mm.
forms of interactions and connections? Do people even feel like human beings anymore, or being alive at that? So we got to identify as growing. We got to use our platforms, as ways, mediums where we can build relationships and improve on the way we communicate. Because I just want to truly surround myself with individuals who want to see me grow. And my goal, my agenda on my channel is to inspire, encourage, and motivate the rest to be the best that they can be. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so moving silence, and I'm guessing this moving silence is talking about this point that Melon and Sun brought out. Social anxiety has played a huge part in my life, Lowell. You know, and there's actually a few things I want to hit on that because this is talking about communication and relationships. And I was thinking that a lot of us have social anxiety due to a few different causes. There's going to be a huge spectrum on this. I'm going to be honest, but it kind of comes from a select few different areas. One, we feel self guilt or self pain for something that we do in the back. A lot of guys can deal. It could be from pornographic material and stuff of that sort, and feeling shame from doing those things. And even though it's on a subconscious and not conscious level, it can destroy your social aptitude. Now, another thing is that another time it could come from childhood trauma and being put pinned down and not being able to express um, what you think and who you are. And to overcome those and even some of the other ways that social anxiety comes from putting people higher than yourself, you think that other people have more value than you, so you put yourself in a smaller place, is one, positive affirmations to yourself, knowing your worth, knowing who you are, knowing that your thoughts do matter and your emotions do matter, and proper balance, obviously. Um, but there is a certain sense of self worth that you're supposed to know you carry your own self with. And watch things that show you a proper way to view and carry yourself. Not saying that you are the entire world, but you are a person in the world and you deserve respect just like anyone else. Your opinions and things of that sort matter as much as anyone else. Doesn't mean that they're always right, doesn't mean that they're always wrong, but you're a human being. Um, and that's something to definitely keep in mind when you're dealing with social anxiety. And also, start speaking to more people. When you go and get your coffee, see if you can hold a conversation with the barista because typically those people are pretty friendly. Now, and start just communicating with people who don't pressure you, who give you time to let you formulate your thoughts. And when you start growing that circle, that social anxiety you realize is just it disappears. It was just social pressure of you feeling awkward in a place that you didn't belong, from a mental state or physical. And we can overcome it through spiritual intervention on understanding these things and start to combat and cast down those strongholds. It's not prideful, but just knowing you have worth, you have value.
Most definitely.
You want to hit on anything on that? Oh, you got this one. Bet.
Yeah.
See less.
I mean, I feel like this falls along with, the anxiety because you can feel as though you are lonely in some places.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brother 88 Soul, he said, what's the best way to deal with loneliness? How can I become more focused on seeing what work I have to do to progress?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to just give you my experience, knowing that loneliness, when you truly look at what it is feeling sad or unhappy about being socially isolated. But take in consideration when you dive in deep into the Most High's word, when you truly surround yourself in being in grace with the Most High, when you start communicating, and they say, do you have a relationship with the Most High? You shall never be alone. He shall never forsake you. You know, he says it so many times in the book. I am with you. Emmanuel literally means God is with you. So being able to have that first foundation of it, knowing that, okay, God is always with me. Now take it one step further. And in a sense where you communicate with God, but also knowing that your talents are supposed to be an expression of how you communicate to the world. So one of my tips to you would be identify what your talent is. Be able to build on your talent. And as far as seeing progress, hey, keep a record, keep a track, knowing that, hey, you can write down the date. You can say, I did this with my talent. And it can be as though you're communicating back with God saying, hey, look what you gave me and look what I built it to. Look what I've been able to create. And in a sense of an artist, is an artist ever alone? Because they spend most of their time just creating. And it's like when you're alone with your talent, you necessarily don't feel alone because you don't have the time to not feel alone because you're creating. So my thing to you, 88, is to find what you're great at, find what you're passionate about, keep a record of, you know, your task list of what you do every day and build upon it. Over the days, you know, it's gonna take consistency, but making sure that you keep track of what you do, that makes sure that you can see your progress, because it's gonna take some time. It won't happen overnight, but knowing that, that will keep you from the mind frame of feeling, hey, I'm sad about not interacting, but you're gonna be interacting with yourself. You're gonna be building on what God gave you to express to people. And then once you fully get that out, it's like you have this knowledge and you're going to want to communicate with other people and say, hey, look what I can do. So it's just building that comfortability with yourself.
Even to build onto that, we have Proverbs 18 and 16, which reads this. It was over. A man's gift maketh room for him and bringeth him before great men. Yeah. When you have a little bit more tunnel vision, when just working and building what you're good at, you are going to be able to be around those people who are going to be for your betterment. And I'm telling you, that social pressure, gone. That loneliness, gone. Even when you're pouring your time and energy into your craft, it's going to be gone, as my brother was saying. And also, to build onto the aspect is, are you truly lonely and at what cost? Because if you would have, let's say, deal with people who are not on the same accord, right? Would you not feel alone? Or would you feel even more isolated? I mean, family, there's people that I can't hang out with anymore that I used to hang out beforehand. And whenever I come into contact with those people and we converse, I don't feel like I belong. I feel it's being alone or feeling lonely when there's people around you because of the fact that you guys don't see eye to eye. And that's not even my personality to feel lonely. But if there was a time or a place, that it will be then, because of the fact that you're trying to fellowship with darkness and your light, or you're aspiring to learn how to bring out that light. And Divine Lee put in his Discord called Only Faith. What you guys are feeling lonely, that's when Divine Lee and I were in there every once in a while, but we have other people in there as well. And we just build and we talk, we converse, we share scriptures, and we lift each other up. It's on Discord, and if you guys have it, join it. Feel free. Also wanted to build on an aspect that what's wrong with being alone? Honestly, what is wrong with sitting by yourself, able to enjoy a good movie, able to go out and eat some food and enjoy what's around you? Why do you always need people around you? See, that's another issue that we have with relationships and communication. We feel as though if your friend doesn't tell you that he's going to this event, that he's shadowing you, or he's not being a true friend. Or if there's a party that he's going to and he wants to go alone and he doesn't bring you, that he's slighting you. I mean, that may be the case, but there's nothing wrong with you being an individual, because guess what? You don't idolize nobody. You don't put nobody above the Most High. So that means that sometimes you might have to be alone to even understand what is good company and what's bad company. I mean, Moses was alone for a set period of time. Lot was alone. He was the only righteous man in that whole entire city. Everyone else burned. His wife didn't even wind up making it out. You know, that's not a bad thing for a time and a place. And it just might be that time or place. So learn the best that you can. Learn who you are.
Yes, sir.
That's part of the reason why you feel lonely, is because you don't know who you are with outside of company.
Ooh.
And how can you have an effective communication or relationship if you don't even know who you are and what you can provide, what your assets are? And that's why Divine Lee was telling you to build into your traits and what your interests is and your hobbies, because that's what makes you an interesting person. That's what makes people want to build with you. That's what makes people want to be like, hey, you know what? Let's invite that guy because he always has something interesting to say, or he always has something that is pivotal, or he seems well educated. How do you become well educated if you're always spending time with other people and you're not sitting down and studying? You're not learning. You're not growing. You have to grow in order to provide wealth, to provide value. A tree ain't worth anything as a seed, but when it has its fruits, it's worth quite a bit. That takes time. That takes energy. That takes winters and summers. It's a lot of seasons.
Hey, I think you were touching on pretty much being verified by having people around.
Mm.
And it's like, if you're verified by the Most High because He makes sure that you wake up, that should be the company that should start all foundations. Knowing that when I wake up, bro, I smile, and no matter what I'm going through. And of course, this is behind the scenes stuff that we got going on. You know, our relationship behind the scenes, knowing that, bro, we can still get on this platform and communicate from having a sense of peace, communicate with intentions to see greatness within our community, and we can share our passions because honestly, I mean, I'm only speak on me right now. I don't know about you, brother, but the Most High has kept me, bro. And knowing that that's the foundation of my relationship, foundation of where I communicate from, that is the foundation of where I'll be like, you know what, that's where I want to take off and grow with. So having that value of knowing that you don't need to be verified by anybody being around you. Because
Don't
you
the
are
scriptures say that I was young and now I am old and I have never seen the Most High forsake His righteous? Don't you dare, man! You can speak for the both of us. Like,
you know, hey, I wanted you to communicate with the people, man. I ain't want to feel like I was communicating for you, man. Go ahead and tell them, man.
no, I feel you. Nah, man, it's just like, you know, a lot of the time, you don't even understand what sound, reason, or logic is, because the only logic and reason you've been around was foolishness.
Mm.
And when you stand back and you actually allow your brain to operate and start thinking, you start listening to what the Most High says, now you have proper discernment. That discernment would have never been accessible to that level if you never came out of those things. You never came out of that environment. And to say that, let's see, it's been 1, 2, 3, about like 4, 5 years before I found my first brother in the truth. I don't say that to fear or scare anyone, but there's a remnant. There's only a small elect that are actually going to be on the same accord. And if I were to try to build some type of relationship with other people, it would have only been for my detriment.
Mm.
And how good of a friend am I now than I was before? Could I have literally, honestly, if I did not go through that time period of being alone, not really alone, because I'm listening to the Most High, I'm watching certain brothers and I'm meditating on the law. So if I got the prophets on my mind, I got the scriptures on my mind, am I really alone? But in a physical sense, right? Would I have been a good friend? Would I have even came through to be the friend that my friend needs me to be? Or what my spouse needs me to be? You get me? So we don't understand who we are and what we can build by ourselves, and how do we know what to do when we have a helpmate? How do we know what to do when we have a friend? Because you don't even know exactly what your attributes are. If by doing projects alone, you get to see what you shine at and things that you would like to have had extra help with, insight on. And to be honest, when we make these brew table talks, who puts the brew thing up? Who makes a topic of relations that sees all the banners? That's my brother. That's not really me. I might have here or there say, but that's what he shines at. When we getting all the artifacts and things, that's where I shine at. And that's fine, because together it makes something beautiful. But if this was years ago, when Lee was still working on some of these talents, and I was still working on some of my talents, would we have really been any help to each other? We've been two people trying to see if we can go here or there, because we don't even know who ourselves are. How can you love your neighbor as you love yourself if you don't even know who yourself is?
Mm. Paramount.
So I just wanted to hit on that.
Melanin Son said, I've been working on myself day in and day out. A lot of things I did improve on. A lot of habits I had rejected. I'm an introvert, learning to be content with being alone majority of the time and flourishing.
Hey, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And hey, I'm not here to promote just being alone. Let me just put this out. Don't forsake the congregation. I understand that, but there's a time and a place for everything, as Ecclesiastes say. And hey, even what Lot had Moses when he spoke to him, but Lot was in that city by himself with the Most High protection. That was an event. That's what happened. We can't just pretend like it wasn't just him. Or let's look at any of the prophets. They were out there preaching practically most of the time by themselves or with a small group with them. Like you have an example with Daniel and his two other friends, right? That was it. Everyone else they were preaching to. Everyone else they were saying, yo, this is wrong, that's wrong. Because guess what? They were the only ones who got burned, or who attempted to get burned. You get me? Because the Most High protected them. They were the only ones who didn't bow down. So don't be so fast to try to gather up all these alleged friends when there's only 2 or 3 that's going to actually go through the trials and tribulations with you. Because to be honest, imagine how much more you could have gave to those 2 or 3 friends that you spent and wasted on the others.
Hey, and let me just give a little parable. Basically, when you put a seed in the ground, yeah, it's by itself. When you are birthing a child, and the child isn't a twin or nothing like that, the child is by itself in the womb, knowing that it's going through the growth process. That seed is going through the growth process. So yeah, there's a time to be alone, but once that seed grows up into the tree, once that child is born, then it's literally time for it to start gaining in relationships. And the role of the relationship has to be identified within knowing, hey, what am I best at? A tree, when it grows up, what is it best at? What is it here on this earth to do? An apple tree, be fruitful and multiply, create more apples. And to say that without the relationship with the apple tree to humans, will we have delicious fruit? And so it's like, yeah, you want to be alone all the time, but know that there's a stage in life where people need your fruit. People need your
Exactly.
peace, love, joy, gentleness, long suffering, goodness in the faith. People gonna need the fruits of the spirit from you to survive in this,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what we're all here to do.
Absolutely. I wanted to hit on this one.
Appreciate you,
Yeah.
Cynthia. She left us some kind words, man. Said, Leon, a servant, and divine Lee, I am so honored to see real kings converse together. That's building this relationship will stand the test of time, because the Most High Yah is at the
At the
control. Him,
helm.
hey,
Mm-hmm. Hey. All praises, all glory, all honor to the Most High.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Let me see. Also, you have Cam Israel who said, "Deep topics for us. All praises to the Most High." Absolutely,
Praises, all
absolutely. I mean,
praise.
hey, the Brew Table Talks. We eating steak out here. We might sell the little appetizers and everything, but we coming with the steak out here, man. We coming out with the lamb out here, you know. And also, hey, all right, hey, so I see you know about King Easy. I respect that. All right, so he had another question, which is, what do you feel is best to deal with loved ones who switch up on you, or loved ones who claim to be in the truth but are in a delusion or are hypocrites? Hey, the scriptures say to walk peaceably as much as possible. If, let's say, for instance, you're trying to keep the Sabbath, here's a great example, and they just find it weird. They'll say, "Oh, he's on his Sabbath," right? And they have all these words to say, but they're not trying to stop you. Then it is what it is. Don't don't even let it phase you. You get me? That's just them showing their true colors, and that's fine. Now, if it gets to a point where you can't do what you feel you're propelled to do, then by the best means, separate yourself. But if, let's say, you're in a living predicament, or you're with these people at this point in time, deal wisely. Don't be rash. Show those fruits of the spirit, right? And as time goes on, either they will change their ways or not. But this, I don't mean to open yourself up to subjection to abuse, by no means. And if that's the case, then try to remove yourself as fast as possible. I do not know what happened with Divine Lee on his behalf. We're going to see if we can get him back. And if there's any other questions, most definitely, we're just going to keep hitting them one after the next. True communication, true relationships, you know, man. Even when communications fall down, if there's a same when you if you guys are still in the same accord, work can be done. It can be salvaged, but that means that there has to be work that's done. So yeah, most definitely. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. We're gonna see if we can get Ak back in here. I'll definitely see if we can get Ak back in here. Do that real quick, and then also come here real quick, just in case if he wants to join off of this, you can do that. I like how things move slow. It's cool though. It's cool. Oh, family, we do have some news for you too. We got some announcements to make, and I'm trying to wait until Divine Lee gets back to even speak on those things. Talking about the Brew Table Talks as a whole and moving forward, and some things that's coming forth. Some things that's coming forth. Let me send this real quick. I'm trying to hold myself back so he can say his what he wants to say on it as well, because we're a team over here. Let's see. Is there anything else, family? Any other questions? Any other concerns? Let me see. I see someone brought out some scripture. Let me see what he brought out real quick. Matthew 11 and 28. Let's see. Hey. All right, cool. Yo, what's up, brother?
I'm back through, man. My bad. The communication between my Wi-Fi server and my computer had died. So.
It's all good. It's all good. Age Soul says, how do you get a man to feel comfortable to be open and honest with you? You can't force someone to say something that they don't want to say, right? You can ask wise questions, and maybe they will come up and be truthful and honest about what's going on. But sometimes some things are best never said. So I mean, that's the thing. Like I would say, and let's say another thing is this, right? You can ask them openly, right? And they subside and go around. Let's say, for instance, like this is cheating, or he's lying about this, or doing something, right, behind your back, and you feel as though it's betraying your trust. It's betraying the relationship, and it's terrible communication. Well, you could bring it up. You can confront the issue, but know what your intentions are in this confrontation. Is it to yell? Is it to be angry? Is it to cast down and condemn? Or is it to get information? Is it to be able to move forward? Right? That's very, very important, because some of the times we feel as though someone's holding something back, and we get angry. We get prideful because we think they're supposed to share it with us, and it just might be something that they weren't ready to talk about yet. Because I'm really shooting in the dark right now, because there's a serious amount of different things that you could suspect that this person is hiding back from you. I say, for instance, a relative has passed and they're not ready to talk about that. They seem a little recluse. Well, not every time is the perfect time to communicate, and sometimes it's just to wait, to have patience, and to love them and help them until they are open and honest and able to communicate those feelings. And always have the door open for communication, because another thing that happens often is that people will communicate, but then as soon as someone says their feelings or emotions, they will try to use them as a weapon later, or even in the conversation, which destroys relationships, destroys trust, and destroys communication. Because if a man feels as though everything he feels is going to be weaponized, or same thing as a woman, is going to be weaponized and used against them, they're going to be closed and recluse. And I said man first because it is something typical that you will see that a wicked woman, or just a woman who is given to her emotions at the time, will say something that man said in confidence to communicate what he was feeling. And that woman will use it to tear him down. And the effects of that are great. It can really destroy a lot of communication. So be very careful. That's what we said earlier. The tongue holds life and death. You can completely obliterate communication by destroying that person's confidence to even tell you things. And if the Most High brought it together, he can heal it as well. So I just wanted to bring that out. But also, what I wanted to say beforehand was Matthew 11 and 28, which says this. Melanin Sun posted it for me. Thank you. Come to me all You who are labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Know that the Most High and His ways will give you an answer for your communication and for your relationships to do right. And right is always the right time to do right. So yeah, if there's anything you wanted to add on that, go ahead.
Man, we still got the link in the chat, man. Anybody want to come through, build on this topic with us? You know, having these relationships and being able to effectively communicate is monumental in our communities, where not just in personal relationships, but in business and politics, having these relationships where we identified that in order to become and grow, we need these relationships to be not only upfront, but have some intention behind why we even come together and talk. So me and my brother Leon, man, we've been building, bro. How long has it been? What episode
this
are we
is
on? Brew Table
this
Talks,
is
bro?
Brew Table Talks. I think 6, right?
Yeah.
At least 6, and it's been about a little bit over 6 weeks.
Man, bro. To say we've stayed consistent.
Yeah, man. I was like, yo, we got some news to talk about the things that happen in the future, bro. It's crazy that you even brought that out.
Yeah, hey, I hear you, bro. To say that I was in tune when we disconnected, bro. I was like, oh man, I already know it's almost time to shut the
You
news.
know, I didn't bring it out. I was like, you know what? That's something that we bring out together. You know what I mean? That's a co-host, co-founder type of ordeal that both parties are there. You know what I mean? So
and just being able to see what personally our relation has grown up as, and to say that it was personal, now I feel as though it's leaning more into the business side, where we're starting to provide a service where you can have people who come together and build based off having a similar personality, and for it to be so personal that they communicate effectively, and then out of nowhere a business comes into place where we're able to just not only provide service but obtain resources to administer to the community and have some type of base and knowledge on what we do and who we are as people. So it's like we just wanted to start the Brew Table Talk. Honestly, I mean, myself, I just wanted to feel as though I wanted a positive impact on how we communicate and how we see relationships. So for us to even be talking about this topic after, after we did the wisdom, after we did the school, we talked about the food, we talked about all topics, and then it's just like, hold on, we need to talk about the relationships and how we communicate, because at the brew table, we ain't just eating with nobody. You feel me? We ain't just eating with people we don't like.
Man, it's just like this, man. We want to enable you guys to have your own brew table talks, where you can find like-minded individuals around you. That, hey, you could say this video, share it with someone else, and you guys talk amongst yourselves on the things that would happen, transpired. What are the things that's happening around you? Telling these tips, tactics, and strategies that we've given in this one, just the things that you've seen over the last few weeks or the last month and a half, right, is something that is pivotal. Because, hey, let's just say we absent. That don't mean that we want you guys to stop growing. It doesn't mean that we don't want to give you guys everything that's necessary so that you can grow and become better, to have a healthy relationship and communication, because we're not always going to be here. Hey, we could be here for the first year, right? But what happens when you guys can't get to the internet? Or what happens when there's another demic and There's things that's going on that we have to handle behind the scenes. We don't want you guys to be ill-equipped. It's never for you guys to solely depend on these conversations. I want you guys to start suggesting conversations that you want us to have here. You'd be like, yo, I need this to be magnified, so that we can all sit at the table and we can all eat. When people are sitting at the table and eating, man, it's just like a flock of people talking, like, yeah, da 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 da, and then and then another person picks it up, and then, yeah, da 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 da, and then another person picks it up, and yeah, da 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 da, and it's just fellowshipping, And we wanted to make this one special because we are going to have to take a break. We wanted to talk about relationship and communication because there's things that happens in the background that, hey, we got to handle this one, handle that one, and most high willing, we will be back in 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm like, well, if we're going to leave, let's equip them so that they can carry on the torch. So that even if we never come back, you guys still have left with something that is monumental and can affect not just only yourselves, but the people that you interact with, the people that you build with. And don't fret, we still going to be around. We still going to be doing our things. It's just that things happen. And I'm gonna pass it on to you, Ott.
Yeah, bruh. Come on now. And to say I enjoy doing this. This is something that I look forward to every week. Where I'm like, we got another brew table build, man. I can't wait. And knowing that we are building upon our relationship, we are effectively communicating, and it's just having that sense of knowing, hey, you don't want to walk away from something that's good, something that truly makes you feel good too. And it's like life, where obstacles come up, and how do you really know who's here for you in your relationships when these obstacles do arise? It's like, do you come up with solutions? Do you come up with environments to cater towards growth? So that's one thing that I've been able to say that I've got from these talks, is that I've been able to grow. I've been able to form a connection with my brother Leon the servant. You feel me? Hold on. Shout out to Kat Israel. She said, Leon the servant, you are very wise. Wise indeed, my brother.
Appreciations. All praises to the Most High.
Taught me so much. Day very deep too, brother Divine Lee. Love y'all. All praises to the Most High for brothers like y'all. Shalom. All praises to the Most High for real, just for helping us even see the direction of what we wanted to do with this platform. And knowing that, man, to say that we involved with the power circle, brother, like having that relationship, building that insight, and communicating with brothers who are also knowing that it's not just one of us, it's all of us coming together and having that connection and helping each other grow, and having some people we can rely on, we can lean on to pick us up.
Absolutely. I see we got some guests, so we're gonna let the first one in. Melanin Son. Shalom.
Shalom. I just have one question to ask. Do you guys have any ideas for like how to know that your resume is updated well? Because I haven't updated my resume for like a few years now, and I've kind of been out of work, so I needed some pointers of how to go about my resume and knowing that it's updated at this time that we're in.
I think Divine Lee might be the best equipped to answer this question. I got something to answer for that as well, though, in a moment. So I'm not going to just leave you hanging, Divine.
All right, man. And to say that personally, having a workspace where these past couple of years has been diminishing on having the opportunity to work. I recently just updated my resume just by sharing my talent, and in a sense where I pretty much showed them that this was my work experience, but this is what I bring to the table as far as being an effective communicator, having these different avenues where I can express myself, like having YouTube platforms where I can show employers like, hey, not only can I bring, the talent of working, but I can bring the talent of having some type of sense behind what I do, because as you can see, not many people in this world are moving around and operating off a mind frame of having good quality sense. So being able to really showcase people in the work environment who you truly are, I feel as though is a plus, because people just going to work for money. But to say that I go to work and I show them on my resume, hey, I am hardworking, I'm passionate, I'm diligent, I observe, I pay attention to detail. You can tell me something once and I'll follow through with it. I'm consistent, and not just for the money, but for me. So tell them what you do for yourself, and know that when you go into a job, it's not about what necessarily you can do for them, but ask them what can they do for you, and why would it be best for you to apply your talents there.
So just to even build on that real quick as well, is that a lot of people, when they make their resume, they shorthand their abilities. What I mean by that is, for instance, if at my last job, I was an electrical construction worker, right? But there was a lot of different things that I had access to and I was able to do. I looked at prints, which means I can look at schematics and tell what I'm supposed to do. I also was, I also worked at Kissel O'Brien Fire Protection and Installation, and I was an assistant inspector there, right? At that time, not that position means that, well, I'm also very keen at looking at the details, because that's what the job is. So just whatever job you're going for and looking at, look at some of the things that are understated in that job, that are underappreciated, and bring those to the forefront, as these are attributes and things that you can actually provide to that job. And as Brother Divinely said, know that when you're going in there, it's not 100% only what you can provide for them, but also what they can provide for you. Because, hey, let's say, for instance, you can't work on a Shabbat, right? Let's say this is an issue that you're having. Well, depending on who you're dealing with, the Most High, I have a testimony from one of my brothers who said, I can work any other day. I just can't work from this time to this time. And that person knew that they were Israel. And it was like, that's no problem. The Most High just worked. So don't really fret too much on that. And also, if let's see what else. That at the time lapse of when you was absent, you was learning on skills and doing things of that sort. So say that was time for personal growth and development, because that's a question they're going to ask. It's like, well, what happened to this? And just be prepared and look at some answers and questions that typically are asked in that job perspective. From your resume aspect, as long as you have the past experience and the jobs that you worked and things of that sort, you should be fine. But make sure that your attributes and your skills are not left out. They have to be shown. You have to know your worth before someone else appreciates your worth. All right. And I hope that was helpful.
Yes, thank you. I also wanted to ask, is a cover letter mandatory for a resume?
I think it's professional. I think it helps. But I don't think it's always necessary.
Okay.
And let me just speak by experience. I just got a call back from an opportunity where they looked at my cover letter and was like, "Oh, I see that you do graphics, and this is a very nice cover letter." Like, I wasn't even responding to them. They called me back and let me know that they were interested in moving forward with me. And it gets to that point where you look at people who just display on a piece of paper who they are, but you take very accountable notice to the people that take the extra mile to express who they are. So it's like you bring more to the table than just anybody else. Express that through your resume. Use the time to create a cover letter that's unique to you, because then people will look at it and be like, hold on, this person is unique. They took the time out. They're displaying who they truly are. You know, this isn't just white and black or just them telling who they work for and what they did. No, they are showing me how they think.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And shalom. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings to you too, sis. Appreciate you joining us on the chat.
Always an honor to build.
Always. We value this connection, you know. That's what we try to do over here on the Brew Table, making sure that we could open up the lines just to really, you know, we want it to feel as genuine as possible, because I don't know about Brother Leon, but I love communicating with him.
Here you go again with this.
It brings so much warmth to my heart knowing that during this time, especially where communication was haltered, that we can use these platforms to kind of gain a sense of community again, because it really be tough out here, especially where I'm at. Like, looking people in the eyes and even trying to say hello to them is kind of foreign. So I appreciate you humbly. I appreciate Brother Leon for even allowing me to connect with him. So this is a blessing, seriously.
Truthfully. Gilbert Arrow says that cover letter is a chance to display yourself.
Makes a huge difference.
Yep. And I'm just speak by experience. Hey, I got the call back. I ain't even reach out. They was like, hold on, man. We need to see what you got over here doing, because we see your cover letter. Like, literally, right before I got on the stream with Brother Leon, I got that call. So it was just like, hey, go to extra mile.
Okay.
Go to extra mile. Seriously.
You sound on mute. I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure. You guys are appreciated, and appreciate being here.
Appreciate it. All praises.
Appreciate you for all the support.
None but love, family. None but love.
Okay. Peace and blessings, brother.
Peace. All right. Hey, okay. I feel Melanin Son coming through with the encouragement, with the, you feel me, the building topics, man. That's all love, man.
Absolutely. I see we got our brother Nelly.
What it do,
brother?
Shalom, brothers. Shalom.
What's the word?
Man, I was just thinking about a question. I was just having a question I would like to ask y'all.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if y'all was going through it when y'all was in school, but the thing that, you know, people look at you, you know, different in school. What do y'all think about that? And what can y'all, you know, advice? Because my little brother be asking me these questions. And
okay, so let me take the helm on this one, Lee, real quick. So my sister was like, what? She's going on 10, all right? And she was like, she said something about being a nerd. And I was just like, oh, she called me a nerd. That's what she did. And I said, thank you for telling me that I have a superior intellect than most. And because the fact that you didn't call yourself a nerd, that means you said I'm smarter than you. Know that most of the time it's just perception. Like, just because you think that people hate you, a lot of times it's because they hate themselves. A lot of times, like, oh, well, what do you think you're doing? Or you think that what you doing those push-ups for? You think you're gonna get big? You think you're gonna get swole? They ask these questions because they don't have it in themselves to put in the work. They did push-ups and it hurt, so they stopped. Or they try to tear you down with you being a morally good person. They say, "What are you, good at two shoes?" And I'll say, "No, I'm just not morally corrupt like some of you are." See, know this. Know this. When people come and throw daggers at you, that that's because they feel as they're threatened by your presence. And when you have the breastplate of righteousness, salvation as your helmet, you're girded up by the truth, right? And you have your feet walking to peace. You have the faith as your shield and the word as your sword. You're fully equipped in the armor of the Most High. There ain't nothing they can do. And if it gets physical, you protect yourself. But don't escalate it to be physical, because 9 times out of 10 it ain't. 9 times out of 10 they ain't built for it, because they see something that's healthy in you, and the only way they know how to do that from all the things that they've seen is to tear it down. That's how they know how to build relationships. That's the way they know how to communicate. But that doesn't mean that's how you have to communicate or anyone else. You know. So I say, know your principles, know who you are, and anything that tries to compromise that, know that it's from Satan. It's not from the most high. And you can tear it down. You can tear it down with words. You can de-escalate a whole situation by a soft response. You don't always have to
Sometimes I
seek
be
out
smiling.
violence to show.
Sometimes I be smiling when they give me some looks. I be smiling. I would just be giving the smile.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Know that a soft response turneth away wrath. You know, that one response to it. Can't say anything else, and don't show that it affects you. Point blank, period, never. And you can kill them with kindness. That's exactly what. Thank you, Yoharu, for bringing that out, because that brought me up to a script real quick. Give me 1 second. If Devon, you want to take that over for a second, you got it.
Nelly, what it do?
Hello,
Bro. Hey, and to know that when you're around people who don't necessarily have the same mindset as you as far as growing in whatever endeavors that you want to. And in the Bible, it says many times, be strong and of good courage. Fear not, nor be dismayed, for God is always with us. And
Absolutely.
that's pretty much all I want to say to you, brother. Keep being strong. Keep having courage to express yourself, knowing that people will try to come up against you and try to make you fear what they say. But it's just truly identifying who you are, what you want to do in this life, staying focused, staying passionate about what you love to do, because not many people have that. And people feel intimidated, especially when they lack that, because they see a man on a journey. And majority of the times you have individuals who lack that vision, but when they come across you, they see as though you are a obstacle for them in their complacency, because it not only threatens their way of life, but in a sense where you have people not really wanting to see other people do better than them. And
Absolutely.
when you are surrounded around individuals who lack the intellect, as you know, you're going through school, you're learning. So not everybody is completely there. Not everybody is completely connected to having a sense of what it is to be a community, because they're still children. You know, you're still surrounded with people who think like children. And more importantly, are these people who you're surrounded with, were they taught by people who had ideas and mindsets that were catered to growth? So knowing that, hey, you're not always in a healthy environment. You're not always communicating with people that are healthy mentally and spiritually. So having the sense inside yourself to be strong, be of good courage, to just smile, bro, and Hey, I use that same tool, man. I use that same tool. That's why I'm so good at it, bro. I just look at it and say, oh, okay, all right. So, man, you just gotta keep your head up and knowing that as a man, it's up to you to truly walk through this life, and knowing that people may come up against you, knowing that people may try to tear you down, but if you have a relationship with the Most High, and if you have built a community with brothers that encourage and inspire you and sharpen you, hey, you moving mountains and slaying giants, brother.
Giants, hey. Yeah, I wanted to bring out this scripture because Yahweh who said, "Kill them with kindness," right? And it's Proverbs 25:21 verse 22. And it says this: "If thy enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. For thou shalt heap coals of fire upon his head, and the Lord shall reward thee." Kill him with kindness. Kill him with kindness. Now, obviously, I don't mean that I'm going to put yourself in an unseemly situation, but with proper wisdom, kill him with kindness, man. Yes, it is what it is. It's cool. Just be able to realize this, bro. It's cool. What's that supposed to mean? Unfazed, unbothered. Smile. Smile so much that they start calling you Smiles. You get me? And for those who don't know, I was nicknamed Smiles because of how much I used to smile. And then also I was nicknamed Smiles because of how little I smiled at one point in time too. It's very interesting. People wanted to put a smile on me. But don't be phased. Don't be worried. And don't become wary. Know that they only oppose you because they see a light. Because if you was in their fold, they will call you brother. They will bring you over and be like, yeah, this is the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do. So just keep your head up. Keep hustling in the bustling cold.
Hustling in the bustling cold. Hey, have you ever watched the Wiz before?
Nah.
Nelly, you seen the Wiz with Michael Jackson? It's like a spinoff of the Wizard of Oz, the black version of it. So it's a scene in there where Michael Jackson was like the scarecrow, and it was like crows around him, and pretty much, he wanted to get down from being a scarecrow. Like he wanted to get off of the platform where he was literally not doing anything, but the scarecrows around him would always like torment him and say he can't do nothing, laugh at him when he tried to move because it's like he didn't have any bones or nothing. He was made of straw. But he's like, no, man, I can move around. I could go ahead and get up out of here. And I kind of like portrayed that to life because you never know who you're truly around in a world full of where you just want to be great and want to do something and want to move out of your comfort zone. It's going to be people that try to mock you. It's going to be people that's trying to keep you in the same place of where you're at. But identifying who you are and what's inside of you. It was like, here goes the funny thing. He was pulling out like the pieces of paper from his body and was like reading these inspirational quotes. He was made out of paper. He was a scarecrow. So he was like every time he would pull something out, it'd be like a word basically to inspire him to get down. But the scarecrows around him would be like, no, you need to stay up there. We're gonna laugh at you. They even made him like rehearse a song of him just being in a negative state. So it's like, oh, you better start singing that song again. Like, hey, once you can type it in on YouTube, brother, when this conversation is over, just to get a visual of what I'm talking about, knowing that when you in this cooling setting, it's gonna be crows around you trying to make you stay in the place where you at. But identify with who you are. Have these notes on your mind, get in the Most High word, and you shall succeed. You shall be able to build these effective relationships and communications. I see you, brother. I see you, brother Nelly, and you making waves out here, bro.
Hey, man. Last day, I was just thinking about it. Last day was having, a time we call it the Christendom, the Christian time. A time where we learn about the Christians. And then our teacher was just, asking around the people, what they think about God. And everybody was just saying, not everybody, but somebody, the girls in my class was just saying, God is soft, and I don't think that he's a real God, because if he was if he was real, there wouldn't have wars and all that's taking place in this world. And I was just thinking, I didn't even say something because I got a brother in my class. He know the truth too, so he was saying to me, they really don't know what they're saying, and me and him was just smiling. And sometimes it's just sad to see the people that are lost.
And you know what? That's why we're here to bring back that proper image. The Most High says in Jeremiah that He will give pastors the heart of His, right? And we are supposed to bring out things like, and I believe it's Exodus 4, where it says that the Most High is a man of war, and Yah is His name. When we bring out the things that happen through the wars, when we bring out the things that happen with the God of Dagon and the Philistines, right? Because a lot of people like to make God as like soft, lovey-dovey perception. But I want to tell you this: if His creation ain't doing what He wants to do, you think He's going to be lovey-dovey and be like, "This is okay," and nah. I am a God, and you dare obey? Like, it baffles me how some people try to make God be what they want Him to be, besides what He has shown them to be throughout the test of time. And anyone who says that they're a Christian and subscribes to the book, I'm like, well, the relationship between the Most High and His people has been very evident. The way He communicated has been very direct. Even when He had to be a little indirect and use prophets, it's been very direct. His word, very thou shalt not, very clear cut. Very little room for interpretation. Obviously, you can divide the word wrong, and this is why the Most High hates an uneven balance. But it is baffling that is the communication that they hold amongst others, and they dare to mock God. It's very interesting. It shows you the state of the moral decay on a day-to-day place. As Newbury has once said, I don't trust people who don't believe in a God, because they think that they are God. And I was like, you know what? I 100% agree with that. So if that's what they think their God should be, then how do they act? And then if they aren't lovey-dovey like their God, they depict their God to be, then what are they, Satan? You get me? Because that's God, and you're supposed to be His creation. And I just don't think that there's much thought going on with the things that they say. And hopefully with proper edification and conversation of the word, that the Most High can provide salvation for those souls. You feel me? But yeah, chat, if anyone else wants to come in, build, anyone else has questions, you got the power circle here now. Got the Brews here talking and building.
It's always an honor to be here. It's always an honor.
Most definitely, all praises to the Most High, man. You have not just two, but three. And think about it, we had a whole community where we come together and actually start growing in our relationships, start communicating effectively, and we have goals in mind. You start to achieve them. You start to actually make progress in life. Shout out to 88 Soul when they were bringing out the topic of how do I progress? Well, being able to have these talks and actually having the tools to go back and look at it and seeing what we can build on, keeping a record, keeping a history, just identifying where we came from and where we're at now and saying, hey, did we grow? What can we do to keep this growth going? So I appreciate all my brothers and I appreciate all my sisters, because it's up to us to make sure that we're surrounded with the right people that encourage us to grow. So I encourage you, Nelly, keep growing, keep sowing. Hey, the benefits that you'll reap beyond worldly materials.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure building with you, Nelly.
All praise.
And with that being said, let's keep moving forward, family. Let's keep having righteous communication. And we got some other guests, and then I want to be able to let them on. Nelly, you already know where to find us at. And we always open the bill with you, brother.
Hey, all praises, all praises. Great stream, brothers.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, family. We want to let some of the other people up. All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Oops. All right. One thing I want to just clarify real quick is this is what the Brew Table Talks is for. So they say evil communication corrupts good manners. So what can righteous communication do? Ooh. Can they imagine, Ak?
Can you imagine flying with dragons up in the sky?
Up in the sky. Native magic, just like Aladdin. Yeah, I know that. I know.
A whole new world. A
whole new sea. Plant the thought and water the seed.
Hey.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm gonna have to start messing around and let them get the.
Hey, come on, man.
To that joint.
Hey,
most definitely.
Man. Right. I'm glad somebody was able to hit a message and connect with it, brother. Build on it with me. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. All right. So the topic at hand is relationships and communication. With that being said, we're going to let up the next guest. And anything you have to add onto that? Yahira who?
Yahira who? What it do?
What it do, fellas, brothers? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I know I was in the chat and then I got out the chat because most of my life, but especially lately, I'm far more vigilant and supremely mindfully aware of only moving, when I'm commanded by the Spirit. And so I wasn't receiving clear message whether I should get on today or not. And Lord knows I do not want to sound crazy as I did the first time I was on, so I'm a little reluctant right now, I'll be honest. But there was a few reasons why I just still kept feeling compelled to want to join. When I first chimed in today, I think I was 16 minutes late into the show. And but based on the title and what I was hearing initially, I really did get the impression that it was about human physical relationships. So I have to be honest and say that I was a little bit annoyed, like rubbed a little the wrong way when Leon the servant, you started talking about how, we wouldn't be able to obtain food in the supermarket and things of that nature if it wasn't for farmers who help bring it there and whatnot. So we're never really doing anything alone.
Let me bring a little extra clarification to that real quick. right? As you said, you joined in a little late. Before that, I was mentioning on to not be prideful and think that things come on by yourself and that you are the only person that comes when it comes to feeding yourself. Now, I brought out the example that most people would say, yes, you can fish and you grill it up yourself, but that's not the case for the mass majority of people. And then I brought out, well, when it goes to the store and buying groceries, yes, you earned the money and you went to the store, but there was a lot more people that played in a part of that. And I was highlighting the fact that if you didn't maintain those relationships, then you wouldn't have that food. And the Most High tells us to walk with fellowship and kindness to another person's heart. So I was really honing in on the pride because, yes, obviously the Most High provides, but He also provides us with unity and working together to not forsake the congregation. And even He said Himself that man should not be alone. So I was just really honing in on that part. So now that I've brought that into full focus, do you still hold the same contention?
Well, because you did state, I did get to hear all that because you went in depth with that explanation after I made the comment that I made that I am doing it apart from God. I am doing it all alone. And then that's when you mentioned something something to the effect of, well, like basically if you keep falling into pitfalls, are you really allowing God's help? And 2 points I want to make on that is that for those that lack awareness, I'm glad that you did clarify, because the fact of the matter is that even if you don't have any interpersonal relationships directly in your own life, we have to work together on some level. For example, I'm fully consciously always aware that I wouldn't even have be like the apartment that I reside in, it wouldn't exist for me if someone didn't build it. But there are other people that do not possess this awareness, so it is a good thing. I just I guess I just wanted to speak more because again, I was more under the impression that this was about physical human beings in your life, and again in reference to am I allowing God to help me? Yes. It's just that, you know, I'm sure as you both know, we all have our own cross to bear. And for whoever may be listening
Mhm.
now or in the future to this show, I want them to understand that sometimes an individual's cross may be to be born under such tumultuous and grueling circumstances where everyone that you're born to is serving the other master, and you have to walk through the
I
fire.
mean, yeah,
It seems
just like Abraham. You're absolutely right. Abraham
right.
was called out of his whole entire family to go on by himself. You're absolutely right.
Right. So in my
So
case, it's not that
what's the issue?
no, there's no issue. This is this is just me testifying that um, you can still be serving God, walking his righteous path, and still have to be alone. You did eventually start speaking more of my language, and you did get into it
Okay.
more in depth. Yeah, no, I don't have no real issue. I just want to be another individual that's testifying that you have to at times for a while walk alone. And I loved it when Lee
Yes.
was also saying about how this helps you to really find out. Well, you were both touching on finding out what your strengths are and getting into your creativity, so then you can really serve your purpose in life. I actually wanted to, if I may, I wanted to testify about how sneaky, and but not only sneaky, but how persistent Satan is, and how you have to really be constantly vigilant at all times. He tried to catch me the other day. May I move forward in sharing what happened
Sure.
to me last week?
Sure.
Because this was crazy. So actually 2 weeks ago, there's this alcoholic neighbor of mine. She lives in the next house. And I feel that there's still a chance for her. So for the past few years, from time to time, I always, I try to give a time of day. I try to do what I can, allow God to work through me to reach her, right? But I have to do it in spurts. So anyway, she has this so-called quote unquote best friend of hers, and in my opinion, from what the messages I received from God, there's no salvation for this guy. So anyway, this guy a few months back, he knew that I had quit smoking weed. 33-year addiction to marijuana, and 5 months now almost I've been free, and it can't even put into words how beautiful that is.
To the Most High.
Absolutely.
All praises.
Yes, thank you. So anyway, so he knew my niece had passed, and he was trying to influence me. I let him know, like, not even the death of my niece is gonna bring me there. Okay, 2 weeks ago, I fell. Something happened in my life personally, and I was walking my dog, and well, let me say I stumbled. I did not fall. I stumbled a little bit because he was just about finishing up a joint, and I was walking past my dog. I was half asleep, half awake. He passed it to me, and I took a couple of drags, and then I was just like, oh no, what have I just done? So, when I came upstairs, I got on my knees, I went through it, I cried, I begged God to forgive me, and I was like, yo, I will not be caught again like that. Okay, so then a week later, which was last week, I was really pissed off with this whole military thing, and you guys know my son is, stationed in 101st Airborne in Fort Campbell, and so I just had a lot, as usual, going on, and I was really angry, and I was talking with her alone. It was a good anger though, and I was speaking with her alone, and I, out of nowhere, this man called her phone. Mind you, she had just told me that he was just there minutes ago, mouth almighty. And I just ignore that because I don't care for him. And so she, he rings her phone, and it's like, okay, it's not like Satan knew that I was standing there with her. Okay, this is some powerful stuff right here. He calls, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm standing here with Yahira. And he's like, oh, hold her. How long do you think she's gonna be there? And she's like, I don't know how long. She's walking her dog. Like, how can I hold her? And he's like, I'm coming. And sure enough, he flew in 5 minutes. He had a freshly rolled joint in his box of cigarettes. He pulled it out, and he tried to hand it to me. And while I was like, in the moment, I was thinking, should I wait for him to come? I know why he's coming. I know he's coming to tempt me. You know what I mean? And I was guided to yes, stand there and wait for it. See for yourself. God told me, you know what I'm saying? See for yourself how Satan works. I done told you how he operates, and you need to rise above. And I mean, it may sound mundane to others that are listening, but for me, this is miracles in the happenings. It was profound how when he pulled out that joint, and I just looked at him for the fool that he is, because I know exactly who's working through him. You clown ass gesture fool. And he's like, oh, but just light it. I was like, what did I tell you? Didn't I tell you last week when I stumbled that I don't smoke no more? Why do you keep trying to offer this to me? And he literally, try to use child psychology and was like, well, you know what? Why don't you just light it and then you could pass it to Keisha? And I laughed, and I thought to myself, wow, you're a clown. And it's just,
that's crazy.
Satan will do this in 1,000,001 ways, whether through your television, any minimal, it could be the most minute moment of weakness, and he will pounce, he will prey and pounce upon you, and you just have to always, and I told him that straight up, I got to be vigilant, excuse me. I don't need to be smoking no weed. Thank you, no, thank you. It's amazing. It's amazing how when you really serving God, he will keep all your eyes wide open, and that shield, that armor is, it's beautiful.
Absolutely, that's a beautiful testimony, and I just wanted to bring out scripture with that real quick, and then we want to build on that. Let Divine Leader also build on that as well, if he has anything he wants to say.
All praises, all honor, all glory to the Most High for you even standing up and communicating in the fashion that you did, knowing that, hey, you got a relationship with the Most High. And when you speak to certain people, it may seem as though you're coming off brash, but you know that in the spirit, there's actually a level of communication that has to take place as well. So for you to even take that ground and know that you're not talking to someone physically, but you're talking to someone spiritually.
Exactly.
Hey, I hear you, Yahira. All praises to the Most High.
Amen.
Hey, I hear you, man. And I'm thankful that you was able to share this testimony and we able to grow. Like, this is what this platform is for. And we wanted to just basically hit on the topic of what we've been doing for the past couple of weeks now, well, months, where we want to open up in a sense where we have these relationships and we communicate with people with intentions for them to see them do better. Not many people have that same mindset for you, and it is sickening. But to say that we are able to stand up and speak and say our intentions are for you to see you do better and put you in an environment, put you in situations, put you in circumstances where you have the ability to achieve the greatness that you see for your life, that is where we know that God is always with us, and we are able to grow as a community, as a collective, and be able to stand up for things that necessarily aren't for our best benefit. So I appreciate you, Yahira.
Likewise.
Absolutely. I wanted to bring out 1 Peter 5:8-9, and it says this: Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Whom resist, steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accompanying in your brethren that are in the world. And I added that second verse in there because a lot of us deal with similar afflictions or the same exact affliction that happen. And to understand that, yes, there are people who simply just want to see if you will fall, simply just want to see if you will stumble, simply just want to see if I can tempt you. I can turn you to do what I want you to do. I can manipulate you.
Because you're weak right now.
And it's actually not even always that you're weak. It's just simply to test. And it's Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, where it says along the lines that we're going to test the saints or the one who says they follow God and see if they really follow God. See if they really have patience, because that's who they say they serve, right? And it speaks about this same exact spiritual warfare, that literally because we see the ways that are to them detestable and unclean, that we become a what's the word they use? A sore upon their eyes, along those lines, an aspect that it hurts for them to see that we're doing right and that we're trying to be a light. So yeah, spiritual warfare is very real.
No, I agree. I agree 100% with everything you just said, but I'm sorry to cut you off, but I have to say that I don't mean like you didn't necessarily need to be weak, falling all over the place, but in my experience, it's like it's a simultaneous process. It's like the closer you get to God, so you're getting stronger, your protection is increased. But at the same token, every time Satan is working in these bodies trying to tempt me, it's right at a moment that testing comes when there is even a slight remote of doubt or uncertainty, or that you, for lack of a better word, you're feeling some sort of weakness, some sort of vulnerability. It's not when you're at your most full strength that you're tested like that.
Let me add on to that. And that's when it matters the most.
Absolutely.
Who are you when you're tested and tried? Who are you when you have your last $10 and you see someone who is sick, who can use your help? And you know you might be paid later, but right now you're going through it. Who are you when you can't be humble unless you're put in a position where you can be shown that you're humble. You can't show strength unless you're put in a position where you can show strength. You have to be in a situation to exercise your faith, to exercise your morals, and to honestly say that you're exercising them when everything is cool and good. That's all right. But who's going to be like Job?
That's my point. Exactly. And
who's going to be like that with Daniel? Go ahead.
May I just also just say how just sometimes it can be because it's been a situation my entire life, and it actually, even in my personal life, it commenced with my own mother. Going back to what brother what's his name, the young man that was just on, Nelly, yes, with my own mom, with the whole questioning God, to the 10th power, questioning, oh, but what kind of God will allow this? Well, what kind of God will allow that? God can't be real. Or even worse, what really gets under my skin is that, how they try to, well, again, it's it's Satan trying to manipulate you into thinking that God is actually the bad one, that he's the, controlling freak. Even when my niece passed, my mom said, oh, I'm so angry with God. I'm like, yeah, how's that working for you, lady? How's it been working for you your whole life, being angry with God? No one wants to accept the original sin. No one wants to accept that this is a battlefield and a testing ground. Um, no one wants to accept, first and foremost, the role that we play, right?
Yeah.
In our own sufferings.
And just to bring that full circle, even a little closer to the topic at hand that we have, that's the work in a relationship. That's the relationship with the Most High is weak. The relationship with the world is very strong. And with that being said, who they communicate from and who they listen to more is of the world. Who we communicate from and who we listen to is of the Most High, on high. So what that happens, it leads to, there's a saying that the birds of the same feather tend to flock together. And if you want to see how worthy or accountable a man is, see who he spends his time with, right? And those statements are absolutely true, that, hey, if they decide to walk that way and not to be accountable of themselves, that's one thing I brung out that's very important in relationships. I said, you have to be accountable for you. And that includes your role, your actions, and your emotions. And that, so being set forth, well, their emotions, they hold no accountability from it. They don't try to understand where the Most High is coming from, in the aspect that death is not the end for the Most High. And when he sees death, it's literally him moving a soul from one place to another, right? And the role that you're supposed to play as being the creation and not the creator, and understand that you are to submit and not to create, and not to rule over what's already been set in place for you. And then your actions. A lot of people don't want to look at their actions, and how can you build a good relationship with anyone if you have pride or you have some type of contention because you think that you can do no wrong, you can't reflect. So it's just because their relationship with the world is much stronger than the relationship with the Most High, and that's a pity. It's a shame, and there are consequences for all your actions. So for anyone who's listening, repent and turn back to the Most High.
I'm moving all, in different directions, because there's just been so much that I wish to discuss, so much that I wish to express, so much that I wish to reach the people, and it just hasn't been the time. And I understand you guys have been on for a long time, and so I'm gonna just, this is the last thing I'm gonna bring up. But in reference to back to relationships, I just want to share again, for whoever's listening, for whoever this may touch. Sometimes you can have the most optimum communication in the world. You can be extremely great, effective communicator, and when they are serving the wrong one, there is no getting through to them. It's immensely painful, and it's tragic in some ways. I mean, in the end, obviously it's not going to be, once judgment day comes, and for those of us whose souls who's done the right thing and receive salvation, redemption, and will enter the afterlife, okay, everything will be good from that point. But for here and now, understand and remember that they even, Satan works through your own mother. I guess I'm touching back on what I was just testifying a little while ago about how he tried to get me through marijuana. Before that time, the last time was my mother. Because of my niece's passing, she knew I was in a vulnerable state. She knew I was feeling ultra sensitive, and she was just like, Heidi. Heidi's my family name. That's what all of them call me. And she's just like, she called me up the day after I had informed her that my niece died, and she's like, Heidi, mommy, please, I need to go home. And she's referencing my home. She wants to come to my home. And it, people don't believe this, but he will even work through children, through your
Oh, yeah.
mother, through the one that you love the most, the one that you're closest to. That's why that being vigilant, on point, and walking the righteous path, adhering to God's laws, statutes, and commandments is more crucial than words could ever express. And so,
Absolutely. And Satan will come through whatever may be an idol unto you. An idol is anything that you put above the Most High. So that's your
facts.
children, that's your family, that's your mother, father, sister, or brother. And you put it above Christ, put it above the Most High, and then you're not worthy of Christ or the Most High. And that was a great contribution. We are coming up against time constraints, and I want to get on our next guest real quick. It's always a pleasure building with you, Yahira, and your testimonies are well felt and well regarded. And I pray that it helps anyone who's heard them, who's going through a similar situation or the same situation.
Likewise, brothers. Thank you for having me. Shalom. Have a great one.
Shalom, shalom, sister.
All right. We got our last brother, Jamonte, and we're going to bring him up. Like I said, we're closing on time restrictions. It's great building with you guys. I did not expect to almost be at 3 hours.
Hey, bro, you know how it go when we over here building and growing and communicating effectively, man. It'd be fun to me. I don't know. I can't speak to everybody else.
I'm enjoying it. I'm sad that I got to cut it short, man. I'm sad that I got to cut it short. All right, what's up, Jamonte?
Jamonte, what did you do?
Yo, what's up? How's it going?
Man, it's going great, bro. Great to see you, man. Hey, if y'all don't already know, Brother Jamonte was in tune with us on our Enterprise talk with the Brew Table, man. And of course, he's back on the relationships and communication, like ideal even more. Like, come on, man.
So yeah, y'all been bringing out. Well, it's like, seeing all this and everything, it makes me really think about kind of like our condition as people and so on and so forth. Being able to have valuable relationships amongst ourselves and being able to communicate with one another. As you gentlemen know, like we all engage in our own business activities and stuff like that. And so, kind of sitting back and listening to everything, this whole communications is kind of like, being able to reach out to our brothers, in the event that we need help with certain things. I'm the kind of person where it's like, I don't really like to ask people for stuff, especially not for money. You know what I mean? Like, it don't matter if you're my parents. Like, I'll just be like sleeping in my car, but not say anything. But that's just how I am. But, it's kind of like with this whole building the kingdom, right? It takes time, it takes resources, it takes skills. And, like one of the things that Divine Lee had said, and I think it was when y'all were doing the Power Circle talk with Rallo, and he was like, and Lee was talking about his whole situation with the bank and how they were like, you need a grant. I was like, but it just, and that just really got me thinking. It was just like, yo, we really have to like essentially start from scratch. We have to foster these relationships amongst ourselves and build these communication networks. That way we can truly achieve what we're here to achieve without relying on outside support.
Absolutely. I wanted to say this though. Are you apprehensive of asking for help? Because I know it's for me. I'm apprehensive of asking for help because most of the time the help comes with strings attached. Most of the time they like to dangle it in front of your face. They're like, well, look what I brought you from. And it's not from the Most High. It's not from the charity of their heart. And do you think that plays a factor into you not wanting to ask for help? Because, hey, if your parents or your family or your friends actually just thought nothing less of it, nothing less of you, and just is like, it's a situation. I got it. I want to help them out. Point blank, period. Done. Do you think you'll be more open to asking for help?
Well, I mean, a lot of it really does boil down to, just like experiences I've had in my life. And, I tend to, I guess I kind of call it, for me, like kind of more so like a pride thing that I've been addressing over the years. And it's more so in a sense that I believe I just feel a lot of pressure sometimes where I have to have this image of just having everything all together, being the oldest of 5 siblings and all that stuff, just being in this place where it's like, okay, I gotta have my stuff together, you know what I mean? And so if I come and I ask for help, then are they gonna look down upon me or think, oh, okay, you went and did this and that, what happened, But and I know that those thoughts are completely unreasonable.
I mean, to a certain point, they're not, though, because that's the reason why we're having this talk about relationships and communication. We brought out earlier that having a friend, when one falls, the other can pick them up. It didn't say that the other one was going to laugh and pick him up, or mock when he picks him up, or look down on him when he picks him up. It just said he's going to pick him up, and that they work together so that their yield is great together. So no,
right.
It's an actual issue that we actually have in a lot of relationships, is that people will hang over what they say is a blessing from their hands, but it's actually from the Most High. That he's showing them how to be charitable and loving. It's an actual issue that we have with our communities, and the way that you communicating that you need help is you communicating that you need a handout, and they have to look down and pity you. It's an actual issue and an actual problem. And I'm happy that you brought it forth, because it's something that moving onward, you never know what a person can help and provide if you just help them.
Right.
Even just in exchanging, but you never know how much further that can take them further. And if you're able to help build that, why do you feel as though that was all on you? Because people have helped them out in the past to get them to where they are. So they didn't get to where they are by their own might, but then they forget, they act haughty, and surely there should be a fall that comes afterwards. So now I'm happy you were able to highlight that.
Yeah, and it's like twofold, and because when it comes to like personal, like amongst us, like say if one of us three, are having types of interactions like that or whatever, that's one thing. But as far as like handouts from like certain government organizations and so on and so forth, that's from that point, it's not because oh, I don't want the government to look down upon me, but it's more so like you said, it's like, hey, remember we gave you this, so now you need to hang that rainbow flag upside your business because we gave you this. I mean, just saying, just an example. But
that's the same thing with these churches with the 501c3, and they're saying that, well, you can't say certain things in your church, you can't promote exactly everything that the Bible tells you to promote, because guess what? We are lining your pockets and we're greasing. We are your strength. So guess what? You do what we say. See, when the Most High is your strength, you do what the Most High says. You can only serve one or two masters. You're going to love one and hate the other. It's absolutely right.
Exactly.
It was great building with you, Jamonte.
Y'all already know how I feel right now. I feel like Superman right here with both of my brothers to the side of me, man, and we over here communicating and building and literally growing in our relationships, where I know that when I fall, I got two brothers who I could just like reach my hands out to, and they are able to pull me up even faster. So, people may look at this YouTube stream and think that we're just three brothers who don't know each other communicating, but to know that God is in the foundation of even bringing this talk together right now, like organically, and we're not just speaking on it, we're actually doing it. And for just even having the experience of someone who needed help, like I'm going ahead and say I didn't know who to reach out to. I was even reaching out to the job that I was working at, and they literally told me, no, we can't pay you, even after I did the work. So it's like, hold on, I can't get funded for doing work. I can't go to the bank. I can't even ask, quote unquote, friends for help. Where are these relationships at that are supposed to help progress me in the ideal of growing in life? And not just materialistic, but having people that I can communicate with that actually make me feel good. Like I went to work and they said, yeah, we're going to have to stop paying you. Huh? That's like you being in a relationship with somebody and they're saying, yeah, I'm not going to do nothing for you no more, but I still want everything. I still want you to do everything for me. Like that doesn't make sense.
It's a two-way street.
You would think. So I'm honored, bro. I'm blessed, man. I got a smile ear from ear just to be with my brothers and be with my sisters, and knowing that the communication is effective for an environment for us to see us be great. You know, they had this saying out, let's make America great again. First, first things first, let's make people in relationships and communication great.
Let's make ourselves great. Let's make our relationship with the Most High great again.
You feel me?
Exactly. Because I'm
put that on a hat.
I'm flipping through. I'm like, when was he great again? Like, you mean this time when we obliterate that? Oh, you mean when we did that to the other nation over there? Oh, you mean when we did this? Oh, you mean when we poisoned our own food? I mean when you talking about the schools and how we changed? Oh no. I don't know.
You talking about when we invaded Mexico? Oh, but that's different.
Oh yeah, no. That's not when we was. It was like 2 decades after that. 2 centuries after that. But, 5 centuries before. It's just like when. Oh,
but it's like, and it's funny that you bring up that, like our relationship, it's like it all started with simple communication. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't nothing crazy. Like I think, I reached out to Leon on Instagram, and Lee, you reached out to me via email. Like you just put a message on my website, and it's like nothing crazy difficult. It took like less than a minute, but then from that simple reaching out and communicating, we were able to connect on a more frequent basis, build and support projects that we all have, and so, and I think it's important for people to know that, when you see our face, when our faces are seen on YouTube, it's not like we're these flawless beings, I mean, we're just normal people, just like everybody watching. And it's like I tell people all the time, it's like, look, I mean, you can hit me up. It's not like, it's like I'm checking my messages and stuff like that. I get that we're all people, and we don't know who has ideas out there. You know what I mean? And so just making sure, like I try to make sure that I put that out there. It's like, hey, I'm a human. You're a human. We're all trying to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. I'm not here to condemn you on nothing. Let's just figure this stuff out, And
absolutely. I just say this, family. Hey, 1,000 of you guys hit me up. I'm a human being. There's only one of me. Have patience. Have mercy.
Yeah.
Same thing with my boy Devon Lee. You hit him up with 1,000 orders. Have patience. It's going to get to you with swiftness. But please, just have a little patience. We're one individual.
Exactly. And bro, that commercial though, Divine. Oh my goodness. That was good. That was good. Yeah.
And to say that, I wanted to exemplify me showing the relationship that I have with making the fashion, knowing that, I'm able to talk to somebody from, if they wanted to start it as well, from basically getting the merch to designing it to expressing what the message is and like communicating it to people. So hey, it's an honor that it resonated, bro. And to say that's what we're supposed to be here for. We're supposed to be here to make sure that when we communicate and express, we can grow within our relationships that with people that we connect with. So that's the meaning behind the Brew Table Talks. That's the I'm guessing that's the meaning behind poetry. Peaceful poetry. So it's like, being able to build these businesses and platforms with real relationships with real people who connect and communicate effectively to a level that sees growth in our situations. So thank you.
Most definitely. Well, gentlemen, thank you for having me on. You guys have been on for a while, so I'm not going to hold you up anymore. Yeah. All right. Peace and blessings, fam.
Peace, man. Till next time, brother.
All right, till next time. I'll be in touch. I'll be in touch behind the scenes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, to have to rush things along because of time restrictions to show that we're really getting somewhere.
Oh man. Hey. This been a great build though, and I love the fact that people were able to, come in and join the conversation. Because when we first started Brew Table Talk, and it was we honestly didn't really identify with people coming up and interacting, but to say that the message has been communicated effectively and relationships has grown from it, bro. I feel as though this was a project that I see endless productivity coming from. So, man, thank you for allowing me to be a co-host on this show, man. I appreciate it.
I mean, it's been an honor, man. I couldn't do this by myself. I might have had the vision or the dream, but I needed the team from the Most High. You know what I mean?
Hey.
So I just wanted to make this clear, family. Right? We will have a small pause and a Brew Table Talks for maybe like the next 2 or 3 weeks, just so we can orchestrate things and get things situated appropriately behind the scenes. I'll keep you guys updated on everything that's going with that. And also, we have all of our content will still be on our channels as they are now, but there's also the Brew Table Talks channel, and I'll be uploading things from there from the past streams and making new content out of some of the things that we already spoke on, some things that needed to be a highlight, and I'll put that link down in the description box and things of that sort, so you can access that. We also have an IG, and I'll also put that in the description box so you can access that. And we'll move some things around the background so that we can come back bigger, stronger, and better, smarter, with more topics to cover.
Yeah.
Always. And if you wanted to reach out to the Brew Table Talks and directly, you can hit us up on Insta. Like I said, I will supply that and description box on topics that you want us to cover in the future. If you wanted to build with us in the future as well on certain things of that sort, as the door is opening. And I wanted to say this. It's a blessing. It's an honor to come and build with like-minded individuals. Right? And this is something that only the Most High can orchestrate. So I pray, I hope that with all the spiritual information that you guys can put into physical application on your day-to-day lives, that you take these tools and you take this example and you be that light and not put under a bushel. You be that house that's on top of the hill. And show others how to have effective communications and relationships. And don't let our absence temporarily demoralize you. Because through faith and perseverance, we shall rise and we'll be back. I wanted to shout out Cool Gents. I see you, brother. I see you.
Brother Cool Gent in the chat. What it do? Hey. And when we come through the chat, man, when we just be spreading nothing but peace and positivity, bro, that's the communication that is effective for us to grow. So shout out to Brother Cool Gent, a power circle, man. What it do?
Mm-hmm. And with those words being said, family, I pray, I hope that this was helpful, edifying, and that these words don't fall on deaf ears. This representation, this example, is not blinded by the things that you see solely into the world. Know that this is possible. Know that you got God in you, and that you can attain peace. And the peace that the Most High gives prevails overall. And with that being said, family, shalom and peace.
Peace, my people.